Chapter 14-17. The demon god mountain was boundlessly vast, so vast that it was unimaginably vast. The demons of the desolate mountains all rushed towards the demon god mountain. The experts from the immortal realms also arrived and entered the demon god mountain. But even so, in front of the countless greater demons, the number of immortal realms Wuxia was still very small. Qin Wentian continued on the demon god mountain, moving towards the ancient golden mountain in the sky. He wanted to unravel the secrets of the demon god mountain, and on the way there, he witnessed countless shocking things. The evolution of demonic beasts was happening in every corner of the demon god mountain. Naturally, compared to the evolution of demonic beasts, the number of demonic beasts that died was much more. Corpses could be seen everywhere on the demon god mountain. Even for Qin Wentian's group, they also killed many of the demonic beasts that came to invade. Our speed is too slow. After several months, Qin Wentian stared ahead as he spoke in a low voice. Everywhere they passed by, the number of greater demons was simply too many. When they were still stuck at Skybreak City, the greater demons of the desolate mountains had already made their preparations. In addition, there were demon emperors and immortal emperors clearing the path ahead. Even if there were treasures, they would all be swept away. The demons of the desolate mountains are countless, and there are also many royal demonic beasts. Just look at the Foarok race and you will know how terrifying their speed is. If we compare speed with them, there's no chance of victory at all. Chongqing Longhao shook his head. In addition, we didn't expect the demon god mountain to be so vast. We can't even reach the end. There seems to be a structure up ahead. At this moment, a peak-stage immortal king from the Battle Saint tribe spoke. The eyes of Qin Wentian and the others flashed as they stared ahead. They increased their speed as their hearts pounded. That wasn't a structure, it was a demon city that stood in the middle of a mountain range, extending endlessly all the way to the foot of the demon god mountain. Demon City, there's actually a vast demon city in the demon god mountain. Qin Wentian and the others arrived before the demon city and stared ahead. This demon city was extremely ancient and exuded an ancient aura. There was also a surge of demonic qi within. This was the aura left behind by the demonic beasts of the desolate mountains. We are getting closer and closer to the secret of the demon god mountain. Those demon emperors and immortal emperors, given their strength, most probably have already arrived at the foot of the demon god mountain. Nanfeng Mingyue spoke. Our immortal senses are obstructed, we have no way to probe too far away. We can only move forward step by step, using our eyes to probe. But this also saves us some trouble. Qin Wentian spoke. If his immortal sense wasn't obstructed, most probably many people would directly lock onto him to kill him. But now that his immortal sense was gone, it wouldn't be easy for him to encounter anyone on the vast divine mountain. Let's go. After stepping into the demon city, they discovered that this place has already been occupied by greater demons of the desolate mountains. Powerful demon kings could be seen everywhere, and these demon kings would all be equivalent to immortal kings in the immortal realms. Demon kings were the same as immortal kings, it was extremely difficult to become one. However, given how vast the desolate mountains were, with the appearance of the demon god mountain, all the demon kings of the desolate mountains would rush over. In that case, the number of demon kings would definitely be terrifying, equivalent to the number of immortal kings in the entire immortal realms. They stepped into the demon city and continued forward, entering the depths of the city. Their target was still the same, the godly mountain. Only that godly mountain held the strongest attraction for them. What's going on? At this moment, the gazes of several peak-stage immortal kings froze as they stared ahead. Over there, a majestic demon palace could be seen. Within it, a terrifying storm of demonic qi could be felt. In the next instant, they saw that within the palace, the storm transformed into an army of demon kings formed from all sorts of demonic beasts. The hearts of Qin Wentian and the others trembled. There were hundreds of demon kings in this army, and their demonic chi permeated the air. At this moment, the disadvantage of having their immortal sense obstructed was revealed. Only when they got closer did they sense the danger. They are death spirits. Nanfeng Mingyue suddenly spoke. Qin Wentian and the others also discovered that although the aura of this demon army was terrifying, they weren't true demons. They had the bodies of death spirits, but their auras were truly tyrannical. There was no way to explain it. Could it be that the unique environment of the demon god mountain created them? Seems like this was the only explanation. Saint Lord, let's go. Qin Wentian spoke. Everyone instantly sped to the side. The Demon King army directly chased after them. It was as though they didn't see any demonic beasts along the way. They were the only targets. It seems like they are only chasing after humans. Let's split up and try. Qin Wentian spoke. The experts from the three factions nodded. Qin Wentian and the experts from the Battle Saint tribe sped in one direction while Changqing Longhao and Nanfeng Mingyue respectively sped in another direction. Only to see that the Demon King army also split up, pursuing them in three different directions. This confirmed Qin Wentian's conjecture that these death spirits would only chase after humans. Continue to split up. Qiyu just needs to follow me. Qin Wentian spoke. After that, the experts from the Battle Saint tribe also split up. At this moment, those Demon King death spirits seemed to pause for a moment before they continued their pursuit. There weren't many people chasing after Qin Wentian and Qiyu now. After fleeing for a period of time, Qin Wentian stopped. He stared at Qiyu. Can you settle this? No problem. Qiyu nodded. He turned and stepped forward, letting out a thunderous roar that shook the heavens and earth. The divine ape immortal world. With a thunderous roar, he blasted out palm imprints that covered the entire sky. Terrifying rumbling sounds rang out as those death spirits were instantly annihilated. Qiyu didn't hesitate to rush over and unleashed his battle law domain, enveloping all the demonic beasts as he unleashed his most violent attacks. In just an instant, all the demonic beasts were annihilated. Young master, you have to be careful. Qiyu addressed Qin Wentian. It wasn't convenient for them to address him as Saint Lord in public. Hence, for the sake of convenience, they referred to him as Young Master Qin Wentian. There are actually Demon King death spirits in this demon city. Qin Wentian trembled. The two of them changed their direction and continued towards the direction of the Demon God Mountain. On the way, they saw many demon palaces. This demon city seemed to be the territory of many greater demons. The most majestic demon palace was the king of a group of greater demons. What's that over there? Qiyu glanced in a certain direction and saw a few wolf kings gathered together. They were currently staring at a terrifying blood-colored statue and were activating some kind of mysterious energy. Their bodies shone with a blood-colored light, as though something was awakening. Could it be that the primogenitor of the desolate mountains once lived in this demon palace and left behind an inheritance that could stimulate their potential? Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice. A sharp howl rang out. After that, under the dumbfounded gazes of Qin Wentian and Qiyu, one of the wolf kings grew even larger. A pair of blood-colored wings grew on its back as its forehooves grew thicker and its claws sharper. Mysterious blood-colored runes could be seen revolving around its body. Seems like Saint Lord is right. Demon wolves aren't demonic beasts with high-grade bloodlines, but there would occasionally be some shocking wolf kings. Their inheritances are unable to be passed down through bloodlines like those saint beasts. They can only rely on other methods. Qiyu spoke. Qin Wentian nodded. Over there are many demon kings fighting for something. Qiyu pointed in another direction. Also, there are many talisman bones there. Each of these talisman bones contains a powerful energy that radiates light, condensing into the shadow of a demonic beast. The shadow of a greater demon could be seen in a certain place. It was born from the power of the talisman bones. Many greater demons were surrounding that place, feeling this mysterious energy. There are opportunities everywhere. The demons of the desolate mountains are really going to undergo a transformation. Qin Wentian sighed. Ever since they stepped into the demon god mountain, they had encountered many opportunities along the way. The demons of the desolate mountains all evolved. Young Lord also cultivates in demonic energy. The energy left behind in the demon king's palaces might be of help to young Lord. Why don't you go down and take a look? Qi Yu suggested. Qin Wentian continued forward, having no intentions of stopping. Ever since you stepped into the demon god mountain, you have already seen it. There are endless opportunities along the way, and the further you go, the greater the opportunities. What kind of opportunities would there be in the demon god mountain? Qin Wentian stared in that direction and spoke in anticipation. But the further we go, the more powerful the greater demons would be. The danger would also be greater. Actually, some of these demonic beasts are very smart and are satisfied with obtaining the inheritances within their capabilities. Qi Yu was somewhat worried. Qin Wentian was coveting the secrets of the demon god mountain. Although he knew that Qin Wentian was ambitious, he could sense that the danger level was gradually increasing. This was especially so when Qin Wentian was only a human. Qi Yu, I understand what you mean. Go and find your own inheritance, there's no need to follow me. Qin Wentian spoke. Young Lord. Qi Yu's countenance changed, but before he could say anything, demonic qi gushed forth from Qin Wentian's body. With a buzzing sound, the silhouette of a great rock blotted out the skies, exuding a demonic aura that resembled a true demonic beast. Didn't you discover that these demonic beasts of the desolate mountains wouldn't act against other demonic beasts unless there's a direct conflict? They are as intelligent as humans and hope for the desolate mountains to grow stronger. Hence, as long as there's no direct conflict, they would be willing to see all demons evolve. Qin Wentian spoke. Hence, it's very safe to remain in the form of a demon. I've already made up my mind. Go on. As he spoke, the great rock spread its wings and soared into the air, flying towards the demon god mountain. Qi Yu stared at Qin Wentian as his eyes gleamed with sharpness. After that, he lifted his foot and continued forward. Qin Wentian didn't want him to protect the Saint Lord, but he couldn't really leave just like that. Even if he didn't travel together with Qin Wentian, he still had to follow behind and observe in secret. If there's any danger, he would still have to act. After all, even if Qin Wentian's combat prowess could fight against mid-stage immortal kings, it was still insufficient in this demon god mountain. Qin Wentian, who was in the form of a great rock, soared through the air, no longer stopping. On the way, many greater demons inclined their heads and stared at him. But since he didn't have any intentions of seizing treasures from the desolate mountains, no one obstructed him. Soaring through the air, his eyes swept through the scenes below as shock filled his heart. This demon city seemed to be a place where a supremely powerful demonic beast that guarded the demon god mountain for generations passed by, leaving behind countless inheritances. However, this demonic beast seemed to be guarding the demon god mountain, as though it was protecting it. In that case, what was on the demon god mountain? Qin Wentian, who was advancing, finally got closer and closer to the demon god mountain, arriving at the end of the demon city. Although he was flying through the air, he still had to stare up at the demon god mountain. This demon god mountain seemed to be connected to the heavens, there was no end to it. Chapter 14:18. Above the demon god mountain, divine light flashed, incomparably resplendent. There was only a single path leading to the peak of the demon god mountain, an ancient path that was filled with divine light. It seemed like only this path was the correct one to ascend the demon god mountain. This path was extremely wide. Qin Wentian transformed into a great rock and soared up the ancient path. On the ancient path, many experts descended. There were humans and demonic beasts, but everywhere they went, they were all extraordinary. Many of them were peak-stage demon kings and immortal kings. There were even a few peak-stage demon kings at the mid-stage and peak-stage immortal kings. Although there were also some ordinary mid-stage demon kings, they were very few in number. As for the low-stage demon kings, there was basically no one there. Many demonic beasts glanced at him with contempt before shifting their gazes away. A low-stage demon king actually dared to come to the demon god mountain to seek good fortune. It was fine if he just wanted to take a look. But if he wanted to see something, he would simply be courting death. Qin Wentian naturally wouldn't care about the thoughts of others. He transformed into a great rock and came to the demon god mountain for convenience. As long as they didn't obstruct him, why would he care about the gazes of disdain? Qin Wentian knew that his initial stage immortal king cultivation base wasn't enough to stand on the demon god mountain. If he wanted to explore the secrets of the demon god mountain, he had to keep a low profile. If not, it would be impossible for him to ascend to the peak of the demon god mountain. What a dazzling light! That's an ancient sun tree. Exclamations of shock rang out. Up ahead, there was a blazing light that was even more dazzling compared to the sun. Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with light of truth. He ignored the blinding light and continued forward. At the boundary of this ancient path, there was a gigantic ancient tree. This tree was none other than the sun tree. Every single leaf on this ancient tree was in the shape of a sun, shooting out sunlight. It possessed an incomparably powerful and blazing aura, as well as dazzling sunlight that shot out. Above this ancient tree, numerous golden sunbirds could be seen circling in the air. These gigantic mutated sunbirds seemed to be comprehending the profoundness contained within each and every leaf. Other than this, there was also a group of human experts beside them. They came from a peak power in the central regions, the Sacred Sun sect. They cultivated the purest form of sun energy. A shrill cry rang out as an incomparably powerful golden bird plucked a leaf from the tree and placed it in its mouth. After chewing on it, its entire body emitted a resplendent sunlight as countless runes appeared on its body, mysterious and unfathomable. An instant later, it flapped its wings, as though they contained profound mysteries within, transforming into an innate technique. Resplendent runic light shone, capable of incinerating everything. After a while, he plucked another leaf and put it in his mouth to chew as if he was enjoying the most wonderful delicacy in the world. The eyes of those from the Sacred Sun sect flashed with coldness. These golden sunbirds were mutated from golden crows and had the innate talent of golden crows. The power of the sun was fused into their blood, engraved into their bones. But for humans, they could only rely on their own comprehension. This point made them much weaker. The talent of these peak-level demonic beasts was truly enough to make others jealous. Qin Wentian glanced at them for a moment before he continued upwards. Not long after, he saw another extremely beautiful ancient tree. This ancient tree actually transformed into a human-shaped face, and with a single glance, it seemed as though one would fall into a trance, deeply attracted to it. It exuded an extremely strong charm and illusionary power. The great rock spread its wings and flew forward, not stopping at all. On the way, he saw all sorts of mysterious sceneries, broadening his horizons as he sighed in admiration at the wonders of the Demon God Mountain. If one were to say that in the desolate regions of the Demon God Mountain, the grass and trees growing on the ground could cause ordinary demonic beasts to evolve, then the miraculous plants growing on the Demon God Mountain would be able to cause powerful demon kings to evolve even further. Qin Wentian continued on. Finally, when he arrived at a certain location, he stopped again. Beside the ancient path, a destructive aura ravaged this entire space. The light of destruction and the radiance of the Demon God Mountain were intertwined together. At the side of the ancient path, there was a towering ancient vine king that soared up into the sky, blotting out the sun. Many branches and leaves grew on the vine, opening and closing unceasingly, resembling pairs of terrifying eyes that could cause one to fall into a trance. Below this towering ancient vine king, there were many terrifying experts. Most of them were demon gods, but there was also an extraordinary human, Wuxia. This is the totem tree of the evil god race. What are you looking at here for? A Foarok passed by and glanced at Qin Wentian as he spoke in a cold voice. The desolate mountains were extremely vast. The Foarok race had merged with the Phoenix race and Great Rock race. Although he had never seen the great rock Qin Wentian transformed into before, he knew that he was a great rock. Hence, he chided. "I'm here to take a look." Qin Wentian's voice was low as demonic qi gushed forth from him. Humph! That Foarok expert transformed into a beam of light and vanished from sight. Qin Wentian remained below the ancient tree. As expected, there were many experts from the evil god race here. They seemed to have opened their third eyes, evil eyes that could destroy everything. They were extremely demonic and terrifying. Among them, there was even an expert from the evil god race whose aura of destruction seemed to be burning. His evil eyes shone with a blood-colored light, terrifying to the extreme. His eyes seemed to be burning with the power of his bloodline. It's awakening. The other experts from the evil god race all had expressions of excitement on their faces when they saw this scene. This was the awakening of their evil eyes. Many of the demon races were transcendent demonic beasts and had inherited bloodline powers. However, this power was always hidden and wouldn't be awakened the moment they were born. Only after they grew stronger would they truly awaken it. Not only for demonic beasts, many humans were the same as well. An example was the experts from the Battle Saint tribe. Also, this kind of awakening could be divided into deep and shallow awakenings. In the history of the Battle Saint tribe, it was precisely because the Paragon Battle Saint bone was forcefully extracted by others that they lost their strongest inheritance. For the evil god race, they were born with evil eyes. However, their evil eyes needed to be awakened first. This was an inheritance power that belonged to their race. Only experts from the evil god race who could awaken their evil eyes would be able to become the royal members of the evil god race. They would be lofty existences that surpassed ordinary tribesmen. However, the ancient Vine King could actually help them to awaken their evil eyes. Other than the experts from the evil god race, there were also experts from the Scorpion King race, Nether Ao, and many other demonic races here. There were also a few humans like Wuxia, experts from the Nibelsky sacred cult, and a royal member from the Sunluo Immortal Empire. All of them cultivated the law of destruction. Qin Wentian's existence seemed somewhat out of place. Although there were different types of great rocks, other than the wind-attributed great rocks, there were also differences in the other attributes. However, he had never heard of any great rocks cultivating the law of destruction unless they were mutated great rocks. No one disturbed Qin Wentian. He quietly floated beside the evil vine. The branches and leaves of the vine were like terrifying vortexes, causing Qin Wentian to feel like he was about to be sucked into it. His entire body was enveloped by the aura of destruction. Qin Wentian's body shimmered with the light of law energy. This was an inheritance treasure of the demon god mountain. Its might was even more tyrannical when compared to the plants below. Even if one didn't devour it, if one didn't have enough strength, they would still die just by standing beside it. If one wasn't at the Immortal King realm, just glancing at the evil vine would result in death. Qin Wentian, who was in the form of a great rock, was surrounded by the vortex of destruction. The energy of destruction coursing through his body was actually absorbing the energy bit by bit. Qin Wentian stared ahead as the bloodline in his body started to tremble. In the center of Qin Wentian's brows, a demonic eye appeared as well. Could it be that this evil Vine King is able to activate some kind of inheritance power? Even my bloodline is being affected by it. Qin Wentian silently mused. The great rock flew forwards, getting closer and closer to the evil Vine King. After that, Qin Wentian learned from the evil god race and began to absorb the destructive energy flowing on the vine. Bit by bit, the destructive energy was absorbed into Qin Wentian's body. Is this great rock courting death? An expert from the evil god race glanced at the great rock. Qin Wentian actually dared to absorb the destructive energy of the Vine King. Such destructive energy was something that even initial stage immortal kings who cultivated the destructive law attribute would find it hard to endure. It was like how the demonic beasts were incinerated when they swallowed the grass earlier. After Qin Wentian absorbed the energy, a terrifying destructive energy circulated within his body, fusing into his bloodline. In an instant, his bloodline seemed to be bestowed with a destructive law attribute, extremely terrifying to the extreme. What made Qin Wentian even more shocked was that within his bloodline, there seemed to be some sort of transformation happening. There seemed to be some sort of mysterious mysteries being manifested. The totem tree of the evil god race is able to activate the inheritance power of the evil god race, awakening the evil eye. Since I have a powerful demonic bloodline and cultivate the destructive law attribute, I can actually sense the awakening of this type of mysterious mysteries. Could it be that the demonic bloodline flowing in my body is able to replace the bloodline of the evil god race? Qin Wentian silently mused. He knew that his bloodline was extraordinary. If he could unleash the power of the evil god race's bloodline, this meant that his bloodline would be able to replace the bloodline of the evil god race. The great rock breathed out. Although his body was enveloped by the destructive light, he continued to absorb the destructive energy. At the same time, his 3 eyes stared ahead. He wanted to see if he could truly be like the evil god race, awakening the power of the evil god race. Even if he couldn't directly awaken it, if he could comprehend it, it would still be extremely meaningful. Qin Wentian stopped in front of the Vine King on the ancient path. Although he wanted to ascend to the peak of the demon god mountain, everything was ultimately for the sake of strength. If he could obtain some sort of confirmation, he might be able to cultivate more than just the inheritance of the evil god race. On the ancient path of the demon god mountain, more and more experts arrived. No one would care about an initial stage demon king great rock. There were simply too many saint beasts here, and all of them were royal greater demons of the desolate mountains. Unless one was a golden-winged great rock, they wouldn't stand out at all. Time slowly flowed by. Qin Wentian's third eye grew more and more terrifying. As it opened and closed, a terrifying vortex of destruction could be seen. It was actually somewhat similar to the inheritance power of the evil god race. This great rock seems to have mutated. Someone at the side spoke. At this moment, Qin Wentian halted his cultivation. He glanced to the side and that expert only felt a pair of terrifying evil eyes of destruction appearing, enveloping him within the evil eye domain. But in the next instant, this feeling vanished without a trace. Chapter 14:19. Qin Wentian, who was in the form of a great rock, continued on the ancient path. On the way, he saw too many demonic beasts awakening their innate talents. His heart trembled but his gaze was as resolute as ever. The appearance of the Tiandao Sacred Academy, the descent of the Demon God Mountain, regardless of the immortal realms or the desolate mountains, all of these indicated that an extraordinary era was about to arrive. There might be demon gods or ancient emperors appearing. In such an era, he had no way to stop others from growing stronger. In that case, he could only strengthen himself. Even if his cultivation base was weaker, he still wanted to go to the peak of the Demon God Mountain to take a look. Just like this, Qin Wentian finally arrived at the peak of the Demon God Mountain. He could no longer see the bottom of the mountain. Ahead of him, light cascaded downwards as an extraordinary path appeared. Over there, many people halted, not daring to advance. Qin Wentian walked over. He saw the supreme greater demons from the desolate mountains as well as the experts from the peak powers of the human world. The most powerful group of people were the first to arrive here. The higher the talent of humans and demonic beasts, the stronger their desire to ascend the Demon God Mountain would be. They had the qualifications to do so, they thirsted for power. But even so, there were still people hesitating to advance. He glanced ahead. On the vast ancient path, there were many experts but they were moving very slowly. Every step they took was extremely arduous, as though there was a supreme pressure pressing down on them. Not a single demon or human could fly in the air, they could only walk on the ground, advancing step by step. Also, Qin Wentian discovered that their movements were all restricted and they would occasionally be ambushed. These attacks seemed to originate from the void, there was no reason for them to do so. This space seems to be able to differentiate one's cultivation base. Someone spoke in a low voice. Didn't you guys see it earlier? Even demon emperors are restricted and the attacks they have to endure are equivalent to their cultivation bases. They can only rely on their physical bodies and innate talents to defend against the attacks. If they are not strong enough, only death awaits them. Wanting to ascend to the peak of the demon god mountain? How can ordinary mortals have the slightest bit of hope? Only the kings of the greater demons of the desolate mountains would have the qualifications to resist this force. This is the demon god mountain of our desolate mountains, a legendary place, a divine place. Humans are not allowed to enter, only those of the royal bloodline can enter. If humans enter, they would only be courting death. A cold and tyrannical voice rang out. After which, a thunderous rumbling sound rang out as an incomparably gigantic devil ape stepped into it. In an instant, he felt a terrifying pressure bearing down on him, but he still continued forward. Although his speed was slow, his countenance was incomparably resolute. Chi! A terrifying golden spear pierced through the void, directly appearing from nothingness and killing towards the demonic ape. It was unknown where it came from, but it seemed to be a super formation that had evolved from this space itself. Roar! That demonic ape let out a heaven-shaking roar of rage, shattering everything. Devilish light circulated around its body as the golden spear pierced through it. However, it wasn't able to break through its defenses. Qin Wentian quietly floated there. His gaze was sharp as he stared ahead. Seems like it wouldn't be so easy for him to ascend to the peak of the demon god mountain. He would definitely have to experience some dangers. Bang! An expert bathed in boundless lightning radiance stepped out. He sensed the energy within and after that, he started to advance. An expert from the Thunder God Hall. The eyes of everyone flashed. That expert was bathed in lightning and an instant later, an attack blasted over. The shadow of a terrifying demonic beast howled as it tore through the air. Boom! The lightning tribulation descended from the heavens, protecting his body, destroying everything in its path. Releasing his resplendent astral souls, the entire world transformed into a world of lightning and thunder. When the demonic beasts got close to him, they were instantly destroyed by the might of the tribulation. The experts here all stepped out one after another. When Qin Wentian saw the experts entering, he, who was in the form of a great rock, entered as well. In just an instant, a supreme pressure bore down on him, directly forcing him to lie flat on the ground. His sharp claws dug into the ground for support. This pressure seemed to be in balance with his cultivation base, suppressing him. This domain isn't a place for fun. You are just an ordinary great rock demon king, why are you trying to join in the fun? It's still not too late to leave now. Go down there and search for your good fortune. Not far away from Qin Wentian, there was an incomparably lofty golden-winged great rock of the royal race. Its entire body was cast from gold and shone with a supreme golden light. When the attacks blasted towards it, they actually had no way to break through its defenses. In such a place, powerful royal demonic beasts clearly had an advantage compared to humans. I want to give it a try. Qin Wentian's voice was hoarse. Since he transformed into a great rock, it was for the sake of concealment. Since he was being misunderstood as a great rock, he didn't mind being looked down upon. This was the result he wanted. Only by being looked down upon would those demon kings feel that he wasn't qualified to contend against them. Truly not knowing the immensity of the heavens and earth. A candle dragon walked past him. His body was gigantic and exuded an incomparably imposing aura. Even a great rock wants to enter the demon god mountain. Although it's like an ant trying to shake a tree and has no idea of the immensity of the demon god mountain, it can still be considered courageous. Why should we hesitate? More and more greater demons entered. Initially, they were still observing, but they were all incited by Qin Wentian. This caused Qin Wentian to be speechless. Courage? Nothing but ignorance. In another direction, a human coldly laughed. This was an expert from the Sunluo Immortal Empire. Qin Wentian didn't bother with him. The greater demons and humans advanced together. There were even a few Empyrean-level greater demons who thought highly of themselves, blocking Qin Wentian and the other greater demons. Stand behind me. At this moment, an old rock king walked in front of Qin Wentian and spoke. Qin Wentian blinked. The old rock king's cultivation base was very strong. He was a peak stage mid-stage immortal king. However, the pressure he was under was also extremely great. When he saw that Qin Wentian was from the same race, he actually wanted to protect Qin Wentian. Boom! In the sky, golden boulders smashed down like meteors, whistling through the air. Each boulder smashed towards the crowd, bringing with it an astonishing gravitational force and destructive power. This was not just a single boulder, it was an attack, a targeted attack. Each boulder's attack power was different. Given the movement speed of everyone, it was basically impossible for them to evade. They could only face it head-on. An expert from the Sun Gold race spat out a golden sun spear that pierced through the air, piercing through the boulders as a thunderous boom rang out. An expert from the Heavenhold demon race was even more tyrannical. He directly raised both his hands. An expert from the Supreme Sword School spat out Paragon Sword Chi. An expert from the Thunder God Hall unleashed tens of thousands of meters of tribulation lightning, rushing upwards. There were also experts from the Jiang clan whose bodies were shrouded in resplendent Buddhic light, as well as the protection of arhats. The Reverend from the Wenxin Temple glanced over there. Buddhic light towered up into the sky as he transformed into an indestructible golden body. The various demon races and supreme geniuses from the various immortal realms all unleashed their innate techniques. The old rock in front of Qin Wentian spat out a raging wind, tearing everything apart. He even split out a strand of his energy to help Qin Wentian shatter the boulders above him, causing Qin Wentian, who was prepared, to be stunned. This old rock's talent wasn't too strong, but he had cultivated for a long time. His innate techniques were also quite powerful. Although it was strenuous for him, not only did he manage to block Qin Wentian's attack, he even helped Qin Wentian out. Many thanks. Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice. Be more careful on the path ahead. We aren't from the golden-winged royal tribe and our talent isn't that high. The demon god mountain is unfathomable and there are probably countless attacks aimed at us. We are of the same species, there's no harm in helping you out. That great rock spoke in a low voice. Qin Wentian actually felt somewhat moved. Demonic beasts would kill each other cruelly, but sometimes, there would also be demonic beasts that cared about emotions. The old rock actually helped Qin Wentian to share a lot of the burden. He kept walking in front of Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian felt somewhat apologetic and told Qin Wentian to handle it himself. However, the old rock didn't move at all. He merely spoke, I've cultivated for too long and am already very old. This time, I came here to the Demon God Mountain as a final gamble. I don't have much hope and might even die here. My cultivation base is high, it's more than enough to deal with the attacks aimed at you. You should conserve your strength and try your best to pass this path. Qin Wentian was speechless when he heard these words. As they continued forward, the attacks grew more and more violent. However, the majority of the experts were still able to defend. But Qin Wentian still personally saw an extremely powerful mid-stage immortal king from the Nibelskite sacred cult dying. He couldn't endure the attacks because his physique was weaker. Under the situation where his movements were restricted and he could only endure the attacks head-on, he had no way to continue. After blocking another wave of attacks, there was still no end to the ancient path. The old rock clearly felt somewhat fatigued. "Senior, there's no need to share the burden of the attacks for me. I'm fine by myself." Qin Wentian sincerely spoke. "There's still a long path ahead. It's still too early for you." The old rock calmly spoke. "Do you really think that a mere rock would be able to pass through? Stop dreaming. Old fellow, it's truly surprising that you are still alive." An expert from the evil god race at the side spoke, as though he was mocking. Even he felt that it was very strenuous for him, yet this old rock was still alive. This old undying fellow is truly interesting. One of the Nether Ao also laughed. It felt that these two Pengs were very interesting, and it looked like it was watching a good show. "If you guys are from my race, I might feel pity for you. Sadly, you guys didn't submit to my race." A powerful Foarok arrogantly spoke, as though he was unexcelled in the world. "That initial stage demon king is actually still alive. We are struggling so hard to resist, but he's actually hiding behind a rock that's on the verge of death." A human expert coldly laughed. This was an expert from the Sacred Sun sect. Even he felt that it was extremely hard for him to continue enduring. The pressure was immense, yet the old rock actually didn't die. That little bastard was only able to survive until now because he was under the protection of the old rock. This caused him to feel extremely unhappy. Old Senior's willpower and strength are both extraordinary. Why must everyone slander him like this? Qin Wentian could see that the old rock was already very fatigued, yet he was still being humiliated by these people. At this moment, an intense sense of danger suddenly descended. The shadow of a gigantic white tiger appeared from the void, letting out heaven-shaking roars as it rushed towards the human experts. The old rock king's expression was incomparably heavy as he spoke. "You have to depend on yourself." "Right, Senior, please take care of yourself." Qin Wentian nodded. "Humph, you should have depended on yourself long ago. Go to hell." When the old rock king and the white tiger shadow collided, that expert from the Sacred Sun sect actually spat out a breath of air at the old rock king. In an instant, a destructive sun manifested, burning everything in its path. The old rock howled in rage as he was struck by the white tiger. After that, the sun's flames directly enveloped him, burning him in an extremely miserable manner. "Senior." Qin Wentian had a look of shock on his face. He wanted to move, but he discovered that an incomparably tyrannical pressure was pressing down on him, making it impossible for him to move. Under his shocked and angered gaze, the old rock king was directly incinerated to death. Chapter 1420. Qin Wentian, who was in the form of a great rock, circulated a terrifying demonic qi. He allowed the illusory white tiger to slash at him, his body trembled violently, yet he didn't budge an inch. With a roar of rage, he spat out a sharp sword that pierced through the head of the illusory white tiger, killing it. His eyes were cold as he stared at the expert from the Sacred Sun sect. "Why? You can't accept it?" The expert from the Sacred Sun sect stared at Qin Wentian with disdain as he spoke. "This old rock originally should have died. I'm just sending him off in advance. It's already a humiliation for you to hide under the protection of the old rock until here. But from the looks of that attack of yours, it seems that you have some strength and your physique is very strong. Demons are demons after all, even if you aren't from the royal clan of the Great Rock race, your physique is still extremely powerful. But that attack of yours shouldn't be easy to endure, right?" Qin Wentian didn't bother to reply. He continued coldly staring at his opponent. That expert had a look of disdain on his face. "If you want revenge, I can kill you anytime I want. Just spitting out a mouthful of sun fire will allow you to accompany the old rock. Do you believe me?" "I do." Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice when he saw the sun fire in the eyes of the expert from the Sacred Sun sect. After that, he turned his eyes away, no longer looking at his opponent. Humph! The expert from the Sacred Sun sect had a look of disdain in his eyes as he continued forward. In fact, he couldn't even be bothered to kill Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian was just an initial stage rock. Without the protection of the old rock, he would definitely die here. He couldn't be bothered to act. If you can survive and continue forward, you will obtain some benefits and undergo a transformation and evolution. Then, you might have a chance to take revenge. Otherwise, they can crush you here as easily as crushing an ant. The expert from the Foarok race calmly spoke. The demon race worshipped combat. If Qin Wentian had a chance to evolve, he would take revenge. But if he didn't, he could just die on his own. That old rock deserves death. He can't even endure it himself, yet he is still blocking attacks for a junior. He will die sooner or later. The greater demon from the evil god race sneered in disdain. Even he couldn't hold on much longer. It was simply a humiliation for a rock to come here while being protected. Qin Wentian turned a deaf ear to the voices of the outside world, as though he didn't hear the mockery and ridicule directed at him. This place was a gathering place for greater demons and supreme geniuses of the immortal realms. Ordinary demonic beasts and humans basically wouldn't be able to come here. He transformed into a great rock because he wanted to keep a low profile. If he was in his true form, he might not even be able to come here. The more powerful a battle was, the more brutal it would be. Right now, there were no direct conflicts between these people, but once there was, it would be a clash of slaughter. Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with coldness as killing intent flashed in his heart. However, he knew what he had to do now. Hence, his footsteps were as resolute as ever. More and more attacks blasted over. All the experts were defending. Qin Wentian discovered that those demonic beasts with extremely high bloodlines and inherited innate techniques were the most tyrannical. Although it was hard for them to move, they could rely on their innate talent and inherited innate techniques to ignore all attacks, allowing them to widen the distance between them step by step. Naturally, there were also some humans like Wuxia. Their talent was at the peak and they had inconceivably powerful innate techniques. Their law domains were simply terrifying, and when they unleashed their astral souls within their law domains, they were even more terrifying. Qin Wentian was as low profile as ever, completely inconspicuous. Every time an attack landed, he would have to endure it with great difficulty before shattering it. Behind him, more and more Empyreans arrived. When they saw a great rock at the initial stage, all of them had looks of disdain on their faces. On this ancient pathway, Qin Wentian personally witnessed the deaths of many powerful experts. Their movements were restricted here, and they could only rely on their innate talent and innate techniques. Even for the royal demon kings of the desolate mountains, there were many who died here. On the ancient pathway leading to the peak of the demon god mountain, it was destined that countless demonic beasts would awaken and evolve. But at the same time, there would also be many corpses left behind in the demon god mountain. To the desolate 10,000 mountain range, this was an evolution, a cruel evolution. As for the humans of the immortal realms, those who could reach here were all geniuses at the peak of humanity. But even so, their gains were limited. This demon god mountain was none other than the demon god mountain. Finally, Qin Wentian, who was in the form of a great rock, managed to traverse this part of the path with much difficulty. It was as though the path he had walked was extremely bumpy, and when he exited, several gazes turned to him, including those powerful demonic beasts and humans who had traveled together with him. Their eyes flashed with bewilderment. "You actually survived and made it here?" The expert from the Sacred Sun sect who killed the old Rock King had a look of interest on his face. The expert from the Foarok race also felt bewildered. Although great rocks were also extraordinary demonic beasts, they weren't of the royal bloodline. It was extremely difficult for them to make it here. This great rock's luck isn't bad. Seems like the death of the old Rock King helped him. A demon god from the evil god race calmly spoke. Many people nodded. Seems like what the old Rock King did before did have some meaning. But so what of it? In the end, only death awaited him. The path ahead was basically not a path he could take. Qin Wentian glanced ahead. There were many experts here, including demon emperors and immortal emperors. They stood at the very front, staring at the ancient pathway that led to the peak. Over there were many powerful greater demons guarding it. These greater demons weren't from the desolate mountains but were from the desolate mountains. They had always been guarding this place and didn't exude the aura of life. Yet, they exuded a terrifying might, like puppets of the demon god mountain. These puppets were guarding the entrance of the demon god mountain, blocking the way for those who wanted to enter this place. Before this, there were powerful demonic beasts trying to barge in but they were all forced back, narrowly losing their lives. There are so many immortal emperors here. Qin Wentian's heart trembled. The speed of immortal emperors was truly fast, arriving here before immortal kings. He could even see the Chongqing the Great among them, as well as some supreme peak-stage immortal emperors from the immortal realms. One of them was an extremely beautiful and holy immortal emperor. Boundless multicolored light revolved around her. Just by standing there, she was incomparably dazzling and beautiful to the extreme. Her beauty was actually comparable to Princess Kitamura, a peak-stage beauty from the northern regions. Behind her, Qin Wentian saw a familiar figure. It was none other than Nanfeng Guhong and a few other female cultivators. Southern Phoenix Matriarch. Qin Wentian glanced at that incomparably powerful female. Did the Southern Phoenix Matriarch of the Nam Huang clan personally come here? The Southern Phoenix Matriarch had the Phoenix bloodline and had some connection with demons. It was understandable why she would come here. Right now, the desolate mountain range was about to rise and the Tiandao Sacred Academy had appeared in the immortal realms. All the peak powers could feel the changes in the immortal realms. They had to strengthen their strength and prepare for a rainy day. Not only the Southern Phoenix Matriarch, the Supreme Beauty Princess Kitamura stood behind a middle-aged man. That middle-aged man was like a supreme existence, exuding boundless might. This man was none other than the Dark North Immortal Emperor whom Qin Wentian had met before. Pei Qin, who had some grudges with Qin Wentian, was here as well. He stood behind an old man that exuded an unexcelled aura. This old man was none other than Pei Qin's master, a peak-stage immortal emperor. Although he didn't establish his own territory and only accepted disciples from his sect, his strength was extremely powerful and his influence was extremely terrifying. He could sit on the same level as the Dark North Immortal Emperor, similar to GD. Other than this, there were also many other immortal emperors. Naturally, there were even more demon emperors and their auras were even more terrifying. They were like demon gods, exuding overwhelming might. Everyone, when will the path to the demon god mountain open? We have already waited for many hours. A supreme demon emperor at the front asked. There are still many people who have yet to arrive. When everyone is here, the path to the peak of the demon god mountain will open. There's no need to ask too much. An ethereal voice drifted over, replying to the other party. Everyone here were supreme experts and were naturally very patient. It was just that their expectations of the demon god mountain were too low, hence, they were somewhat impatient. There were also people guessing who the owner of this voice was. Could it be that the demon god mountain has a spirit? But to the mysterious demon god mountain, no matter how mysterious it was, they wouldn't doubt it. In such a place, even supreme immortal kings weren't that conspicuous, let alone an initial stage immortal king like Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian stood at the back and stared at these supreme characters. His eyes gleamed with sharpness as he shifted his gaze to a certain direction. Over there was a supremely powerful demon emperor with 9 heads. Each head resembled a demon god that could devour the heavens and earth, exuding an unparalleled majestic aura. On his shoulder, there was a snow-white little fellow that appeared somewhat comical, as though it shouldn't be here at all. Brahma Heavenly Emperor. Qin Wentian glanced at that greater demon. This greater demon actually resembled the Brahma heavenly emperor he saw back then in the city of ancient emperors. This meant that Little Rascal's race might have a connection with the Brahma heavenly emperor's race. He didn't expect that the Brahma heavenly emperor who once dominated the world back then was actually a demon emperor. Purgatory was on the other side and both of them were actually at the demon king level. Seems like this supreme demon emperor gave them a great opportunity. In addition to the fact that the demon god mountain is filled with good fortune, they all transformed. Qin Wentian silently mused. This was the demon god mountain, the #1 legendary place in the desolate mountains. With a supreme demon emperor protecting them, how could demonic beasts like Little Rascal and Purgatory not evolve? Little Rascal stealthily turned his head and glanced at Qin Wentian. He then winked at Qin Wentian who had transformed into a great rock. Qin Wentian glanced at him and nodded his head slightly. However, no one noticed his subtle movements. There were still more people walking out from the back. The path ahead still didn't allow anyone to step on it. It was like as long as one passed the checkpoint earlier, they would already have the qualifications to ascend to the peak of the Demon God Mountain. Hence, the spirit of the Demon God Mountain was intentionally waiting for the people behind to pass. Qin Wentian quietly walked to the side and lay down. He closed his eyes and quietly cultivated, as inconspicuous as ever. Nobody noticed the existence of an ordinary great rock. This cultivation lasted for a very long time. Finally, a dazzling light flashed past the peak of the Demon God Mountain. The sealed pathway ahead finally opened up, exuding a boundlessly marvelous aura. Those demon emperors and immortal emperors all radiated fearsome auras. After that, they stepped out with no hesitation, heading towards the ancient pathway. To demon emperors, this was an extremely rare opportunity. To immortal emperors, even if they couldn't obtain any benefits, they still wanted to test it out and pry into the secrets of the #1 legendary place in the desolate mountains. Many experts entered one after another. Qin Wentian, who was in the form of a great rock, stood up and followed behind them, silently entering the pathway. At the instant he stepped in, he saw that the experts before him were all trapped in a sealed battlefield. On the ancient pathway, there were countless demonic spirits that directly brought those who stepped on the pathway into a spatial battlefield. Qin Wentian only felt a terrifying energy enveloping him. After that, he too entered a spatial battlefield. The energy of heaven and earth here seemed to have been sucked dry, he had no way to gather law energy. He could only rely on the energy in his body and the strength of his fleshly body. This path leading to the peak of the Demon God Mountain wasn't easy to traverse. Chapter 14:21. Qin Wentian could clearly see that the other experts were all on this ancient path. However, there were actually many translucent spatial battlefields that didn't affect each other. As for him, he was in one of the spatial battlefields. At this moment, the silhouettes of greater demons suddenly appeared in the spatial battlefields. They were extremely terrifying and corresponded to their cultivation bases. Even the immortal emperors and demon emperors had extremely solemn expressions on their faces. Even for them, they might not be able to pass this ancient path. If one wanted to pass, one's cultivation base wasn't the only thing that could determine one's cultivation base. Before Qin Wentian, a great rock appeared, staring at him with lofty eyes. His cultivation base was at the peak stage of the initial stage of the Demon King realm, and his aura was extremely terrifying. Bzz. The gigantic body of the great rock instantly swooped down like a bolt of lightning. His sharp claws slashed out, causing the void to feel as though it was about to be torn apart. The energy of heaven and earth in this spatial battlefield was completely extracted. There was no way to borrow astral energy and one could only rely on one's own strength and physique. There was no doubt that such a powerful demonic beast would have a greater advantage. Humans were clearly at a disadvantage. Qin Wentian transformed into a great rock. Perhaps it was because of his will, a great rock appeared before him and directly launched an attack. Terrifying laws circulated around his body. Qin Wentian also soared up into the sky, clashing head-on with his opponent. His sharp claws slashed out, incomparably sharp. Bang! An incomparably powerful force collided against each other, only to see that the great rock was directly flung through the air. Qin Wentian was like a bolt of lightning, his sharp claws containing a terrifying sword might lacerated the head of the great rock, shattering it into pieces. A great rock at the same cultivation base as him naturally wouldn't be able to stop him. The space battlefield vanished. Qin Wentian continued forward, he saw many battles between experts. For those greater demons, the ones they fought against were all greater demons of the same race. As for the humans, they were all fighting against greater demons of the royal bloodline. On both sides of the ancient road, the demonic qi was terrifying. Numerous greater demons seemed to be watching, guarding this ancient road battlefield. One after another, experts broke through the void and came out of the battlefield. Some of them glanced at the great rock that Qin Wentian had transformed into, but they didn't care about his existence. It was already a miracle that an early-stage great rock demon king could make it this far. It seemed that this great rock had some strength and might have undergone a metamorphosis. Buzz! A force of the void descended. Before long, Qin Wentian was dragged into the space battlefield again. This time, a rock king bathed in endless thunderbolts appeared in front of him. The rock king had a dark body and was glowing with purple thunderbolts. It was extremely terrifying. This was the Thunder Rock King of the Rock Tribe, which also belonged to the Rock Tribe. Boom! Overbearing demonic rules were released. Qin Wentian was like a demonic rock. His eyes were wild as he rushed towards his opponent like a bolt of lightning. It's actually one of the rarer demonic rocks. No wonder he could make it here. Some experts from the Fourok race glanced at Qin Wentian. They saw the lightning rock clashing head-on with Qin Wentian. The tyrannical thunderbolts and the similarly tyrannical Devil Dao energy clashed head-on, causing incomparably violent shockwaves that engulfed the entire battlefield. But ultimately, the lightning rock was destroyed, shattered by Qin Wentian. Demonic beasts were innately powerful. They could absorb constellations of the same attribute to temper their bodies, bones, and organs. As long as their perception reached a certain level, they would be able to draw energy from constellations of the same attribute into their bodies. This indicated that for those powerful greater demons with terrifying talent, they had an innate advantage. For example, this lightning rock could absorb lightning-attributed constellations within the range of their perception. How could it not be tyrannical? Hence, the higher the talent of a demonic beast, the greater the advantage they would have. The stronger their physical body, the more powerful the innate techniques they could unleash. However, the reason why Qin Wentian was able to defeat the Thunder Rock was because his physique was already extremely terrifying. The first constellation he condensed was already from the 5th heavenly layer, not to mention the 8th heavenly layer, a devil-attributed constellation. After he condensed his astral soul, the astral energy from the constellations he condensed was far more tyrannical compared to the astral energy from the constellations of the 5th heavenly layer. Even if it was used to temper one's body, it would still be many times stronger. In addition to Qin Wentian's body refinement arts, as well as his body tempered by God's hand, just based on his physique alone, he was already extremely tyrannical, comparable to a supremely powerful greater demon king. Qin Wentian continued advancing, killing greater demons along the way. The further he advanced, the more powerful the greater demons of the desolate mountains and the human Wuxia were. Their advantage in terms of cultivation base was useless because their opponents' cultivation bases were the same as them. For example, if the Dongxing Heaven Emperor was here, would he be able to defeat the Torch Dragon Demon Emperor? Also, the advantage the demonic beasts had when compared to the human Wuxia gradually grew more and more obvious. The number of human Wuxia at the back was getting fewer and fewer. That rock actually hasn't died yet. A bewildered voice rang out. Those demonic beasts that could survive until now were all supremely powerful greater demons of the desolate mountains. As for the humans, they were all experts with unparalleled talent. This rock is somewhat extraordinary. Before this, the expert from the Sacred Sun sect had also reached this step. He could already feel the immense pressure. But for a rock to be able to persist until now, he was truly taken aback. The expert from the Foarok race glanced at Qin Wentian as a strange gleam flashed in his lofty eyes. However, he didn't have the time to pay attention to Qin Wentian now. The end of the ancient pathway was already in sight. Right now, those that appeared on both sides of the pathway were all from the royal races of the desolate mountains. The final trial would surely be extremely terrifying. Before Qin Wentian, a golden-winged rock appeared. This was also an independent battlefield. This golden-winged rock had a golden body and was incomparably lofty. His gaze seemed to be able to tear people apart. Challenging the kings of the royal races? Qin Wentian silently mused. Before this in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, he had once challenged the wills of various greater demons. But right now, he was facing a truly supremely powerful greater demon. This was no longer a battle of wills. Qin Wentian's body glowed with the light of law energy, circulating around his entire body. He didn't dare to be careless when facing the golden-winged rock. Bzz. A terrifying might radiated from the eyes of the golden-winged rock. In just an instant, a fearsome spatial tempest enveloped Qin Wentian, containing an incomparably sharp intent as it slashed towards Qin Wentian, directly ignoring the distance between them. This was none other than one of the innate abilities of the golden-winged rock. The power of God's hand was activated. Qin Wentian's body radiated an indestructible might as his demonic bloodline was unleashed. The shadow of a gigantic rock manifested around him, protecting him within. But even so, the spatial tempest still managed to tear apart his protective energy. Beams of spatial energy directly blasted into Qin Wentian, causing him to tremble violently. As expected of the king of the royal races. Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with sharpness. Countless spatial tempest blasted over, colliding with his body of laws. If he was an ordinary rock, he would have been instantly torn apart by the might of the spatial tempest. How could a rock of the great rock race be able to stand against the king of the golden-winged rock? The demon god mountain only chose the strongest kings. Although there were good fortune everywhere, those who could reach the peak of the demon god mountain were all supreme greater demons that had the potential to become the king of the myriad of demons. True self-protection. Qin Wentian transformed into a great rock. Resplendent light of true self could be seen as the shadow of the great rock enveloped him once more. He soared up into the air, directly exiting the spatial tempest. When he passed by the tempest, everything was torn to shreds. The lofty eyes of the golden-winged rock gleamed with coldness as he vanished from his original location like a bolt of lightning. After that, a thunderous boom rang out as Qin Wentian was flung through the air, retreating extremely far away. Another innate technique? Qin Wentian's body trembled. It was too fast, directly appearing in front of him. This speed was even more terrifying compared to the time when he fought in the Battle of Wills in the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Bang! Qin Wentian only saw his opponent appearing before him once more, wanting to tear his head apart. His body trembled as he was flung through the air once more. Bang, bang, bang! Streaks of golden lightning flashed in the air. Qin Wentian only felt that his incomparably powerful body was about to be torn apart. There was no way for him to evade or block such extreme spatial teleportation. If it wasn't for the fact that the constellations he condensed were all extremely high-grade and that he had cultivated many powerful techniques, he would have died without a doubt. Devil might gushed forth from Qin Wentian. The demonic rock exuded an inconceivably tyrannical aura. With a thunderous boom, the golden-winged rock tore through the air once more. A golden spatial sword appeared in its talons, wanting to slice Qin Wentian into two. Qin Wentian's talons clasped together as a devil palm imprint appeared in the center of his brows, directly piercing towards the golden-winged rock. This caused the rock to feel as though its soul was being pierced by a sharp sword. At the same time, a vortex of destruction enveloped it, causing the sword in its hand to involuntarily loosen its grip as it wanted to retreat. Qin Wentian directly stretched out his talons, actually grabbing the head of the golden-winged rock. With a flap of his wings, he directly descended on the gigantic body of the golden-winged rock, grabbing onto the neck of the golden-winged rock. Bzz. The golden-winged great rock moved with lightning speed, appearing in another space. However, Qin Wentian, who was in the form of a great rock, had a death grip on him. His sharp claws ferociously smashed towards the head of the golden-winged great rock, frenziedly attacking. Thunderous rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly. The golden-winged great rock twisted its body frantically, wanting to shake Qin Wentian off. However, how could Qin Wentian let go of such an opportunity? The defense of this rock was simply too shocking. The experts in the surroundings were all dumbfounded when they saw this scene. A great rock was actually riding on the body of a golden-winged rock. What was going on in this world? Could the greater demons of the desolate mountains evolve to such a terrifying level? A great rock was actually suppressing the king of their race. Finally, a scream of misery rang out. Qin Wentian's attacks were incomparably violent. He could even kill initial stage mid-stage immortal kings. Although this golden-winged rock was terrifying, he still couldn't withstand such violent attacks and was brutally slaughtered. At this moment, a low-stage great rock king like him was viewed with more importance. This was a great rock that had undergone a transformation and could even kill kings. Chapter 1422. Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with sharpness as he continued forward. Ahead of him, there seemed to be another dimension. He had already reached the end of this ancient pathway and was getting closer and closer to the peak of the Demon God Mountain. Other than Qin Wentian, there were already some powerful demonic kings who have already stepped forward. For example, the king of the Foarok race, the king of the Sun Gold race, and the Wuxia. Since the human Wuxia was able to reach this step, there was no need to doubt his strength. Among them, the majority were at the Immortal King realm and there were only a few Immortal Emperors. They were all peak existences from the various major powers in the Immortal realms and Qin Wentian didn't recognize most of them. After all, he was considered a junior in front of these people and wasn't familiar with them. Most probably, those from the Tiandao Sacred Academy who are at the Immortal King level should be more familiar with these people. They were definitely like him and Huang Shatian, characters who could summon the wind and summon the rain in the Tiandao Sacred Academy. However, there were also some familiar figures to Qin Wentian. For example, Princess Kitamura and Pei Qing. These two were characters who made history and had outstanding talent. Although Pei Qing was arrogant and had no one in his eyes, his talent was truly terrifying. Before this, Qin Wentian glanced at the battlefield where Pei Qing was at. Princess Kitamura was the youngest immortal emperor in the history of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. He naturally had extraordinary points. Other than this, the southern matriarch of the Namhuang clan and several other immortal emperors also passed this step. A portion of the immortal emperors from the immortal realms came, but not all of them came. Among these immortal emperors, there weren't many who could reach this step. All of them were peak-level immortal emperors with peak-level combat prowess. After all, they fought against a peak-level demon emperor earlier and won. Little rascal. Qin Wentian glanced at Little Rascal. He had also passed the test. Beside him, that extremely powerful demon the Arch wasn't around. He was left behind. Although he was extremely powerful, because he was facing the Beast King Demon the Arch, he wasn't able to break through the barrier and was stopped. Purgatory was still in the midst of a difficult battle. She was currently facing an extremely powerful vermilion bird. Purgatory could be considered a mutated vermilion bird demonic beast. She was born in the form of a spirit body and had always existed within Qin Wenqian's body. She was raised using Qin Wenqian's bloodline. This battle was extremely difficult. Ignition, what kind of talent is this? Qin Wenqian glanced at the battlefield. Purgatory's body was set ablaze, causing the entire space to be set ablaze. Her combat prowess grew even stronger, explosively increasing. From a disadvantageous position, she managed to turn the situation around and finally defeated her opponent, standing out from the crowd. Qin Wenqian felt somewhat puzzled. When did Purgatory awaken her bloodline? However, this wasn't the time to ask about this. He continued forward and encountered an expert from the Sacred Sun sect who was defeated. His aura was extremely weak and he was heavily injured. It was just that he didn't die. His eyes flashed when he saw Qin Wenqian's great rock flying past. His gaze was extremely cold. Trash. Qin Wenqian's eyes gleamed with sharpness, staring at him with disdain. The mocking look in his eyes was extremely terrifying. Impudent. That expert from the Sacred Sun sect didn't expect that the great rock who was humiliating him earlier would actually dare to look at him with such disdain, calling him trash. Just based on what qualifications do you have to criticize me? A trash-like existence. If there's a chance, I will definitely kill you. Qin Wenqian's voice was low and hoarse, exuding a powerful killing intent. Although he had no relationship with the old Rock King who had died, that kind old Rock King had treated him very well. Yet, the old Rock King died in the hands of his opponent. Qin Wenqian had to take revenge for this. Kill him for me. That expert from the Sacred Sun sect spoke to an expert from the Sacred Sun sect who had passed the test. The eyes of the expert from the Sacred Sun sect were all blazing with fire, radiating killing intent. Qin Wenqian's silhouette flashed, moving forward like a bolt of lightning. King, save me. Qin Wenqian's silhouette flashed as he ran behind a golden-winged great rock. This was a supremely terrifying golden-winged great rock. His eyes gleamed with loftiness as he stared at the expert from the Sacred Sun sect, causing a heavy expression to appear on his face. The expert from the Sacred Sun sect coldly stared at Qin Wenqian. You humiliated the experts of my race, are you going to hide there just like that? My cultivation base is currently too low or I can easily kill you. With the king of my race here, do you dare to fight me? Qin Wenqian hid behind the golden-winged great rock as he spoke. Although his performance earlier was extraordinary, it was still best to be low profile when it was necessary. After all, he was too weak. There were too many humans and demons here who could kill him. Humph, that expert from the Sacred Sun sect had a cold look in his eyes. However, the golden-winged great rock coldly glanced at Qin Wenqian. Your performance earlier wasn't bad. However, you merely killed an illusory demon spirit. In front of me, even if you mutated, you are still nothing but a puny existence. Understood. Qin Wenqian nodded, appearing very humble, showing respect to the royal clan. That golden-winged great rock nodded arrogantly, as though he was very satisfied with Qin Wenqian's performance. Even if you mutated, you are ultimately still an ordinary great rock. You don't have the aura of a king. Many greater demons glanced at Qin Wenqian as they emotionlessly spoke. Little Rascal stared at this scene with interest. His eyes kept blinking as though he saw something very interesting. This fellow was too shameless. These humans and demonic beasts underestimated him. They would have to pay the price sooner or later. Let's go. That golden-winged great rock spoke in arrogance. They walked forward, and the experts from the Sacred Sun sect also followed suit. There were no more greater demons around them. They continued forward, and it felt like they could already see the sky. That mysterious God Mountain appeared before their eyes. The God Mountain was already within their reach. Were they about to ascend to the peak of the God Mountain? At this moment, the royal clan of the Desolate Mountains all had looks of excitement on their faces. As for the human Wuxia, he was filled with the desire to explore. The number 1 legendary place in the desolate 10,000 mountain range was filled with good fortune. From the moment they stepped onto the God Mountain, there were plants that could allow the greater demons of the desolate mountains to transform. And after ascending the sacred mountain, there were even more treasures that could allow the greater demons of the desolate mountains to awaken their innate bloodline abilities. And now, they were about to ascend to the peak of the God Mountain, the peak of the legendary place. What would be waiting for the greater demons of the desolate mountains? Naturally, there were some stellar martial cultivators who cultivated demonic energy. They also faintly hoped that they would be able to obtain some benefits. But even if they couldn't, to them, this was still a rare tempering experience. Finally, they saw an incomparably majestic demon god palace that towered up into the sky. This demon god palace stood high up in the air, exuding a sense of loftiness. Could there really be a demon god there? At this instant, many greater demons of the desolate mountains felt reverence in their hearts. This was the end of the number 1 legendary place in the desolate mountains, the demon god palace at the peak of the demon god mountain. The majestic demon god palace was engraved with lifelike diagrams of greater demons of the various races, as though they were alive. After that, the diagrams actually came to life, walking out from the diagrams, causing the gazes of the experts here to freeze. Their hearts trembled. After that, a beam of light cascaded down from the peak of the demon god mountain. Law energy could no longer exist in this place. Not only so, under this boundless light, all the experts here felt their strength being suppressed. My cultivation base. At this moment, the eyes of a demon emperor narrowed as he exclaimed in shock. What's going on? The eyes of an immortal emperor flashed. Their cultivation bases were suppressed. Immortal kings, their cultivation bases were actually suppressed to the initial stage of the immortal king realm. Everywhere the light cascaded, everything was suppressed. There were no exceptions. Regardless of the greater demons of the desolate mountains or human immortal emperors, their cultivation bases were all the same, at the initial stage of the immortal king realm. The diagrams on the walls of the palace transformed into many terrifying greater demons. Their auras were similarly suppressed, all of them were at the initial stage of the immortal king realm. But their numbers were incomparably vast, and they were all walking towards them. Among them, there were even supreme demon kings and supreme existences. This time around, what they were facing was no longer a one-on-one fight. It was a group of demons. The palace at the peak of the divine mountain was wide open, but no one dared to act blindly without thinking. There were so many kings of the demon race, and they were all at the same level as them. They could kill the most talented human and demon in an instant. Seems like the demon god mountain wants to select the most outstanding demon king. A greater demon from the desolate mountains sighed. Those who could pass through this formation with their cultivation bases suppressed would definitely be the strongest existences among the greater demons of the desolate mountains. They would be able to inherit the legacy of the demon god and have a chance to become a legendary demon god in the future. They're here. The eyes of everyone flashed with wariness. In the air, the demonic beasts were moving towards them under the command of the various demon kings. Each of these demonic beasts were saint beasts and were known as the kings of the demon world. Among them, there were even supreme demon kings that led an army of saint beasts. King, lead us and kill our way up. Qin Wentian hid behind the golden-winged great rock and Foa rock. Although their cultivation bases were suppressed, this wasn't the time to show off. Suppressing one's cultivation base was already a joyous matter to him. But it was precisely at this moment that he had to remain calm and maintain a low profile until they entered the demon god palace at the peak of the demon god mountain. The Foa rock race and the golden-winged great rock walked out. The eyes of the great rock gleamed with sharpness, shooting out spatial tornadoes that shot towards the demonic beasts. A supreme demon from the Foa rock race was extremely terrifying. His spatial tornadoes contained terrifying golden flames of destruction, capable of incinerating all existences. An expert from the sun gold race shot out golden beams of sunlight, directly slaughtering the demonic beasts. The kings of the desolate mountains began their path of slaughter as they advanced forward. The human Wuxia also unleashed inconceivably tyrannical techniques. Although their cultivation bases were suppressed, those who could reach this step were all extremely powerful existences. There were Empyreans from the sacred sun sect who shot out beams of sunlight. There were experts from the beast god sect who had incomparably demonic eyes that caused demon gods to prostrate before them. There were also experts from the 100 Refinements sect who refined everything. Although the southern Phoenix matriarch's cultivation base was suppressed, she still exuded magnificence. Brilliant light radiated from her as the shadow of a phoenix appeared around her. She was like an unexcelled queen of the world. Princess Kitamura was a supreme beauty. She radiated an aura of the north, causing those who were near her to feel an incomparably cold chill. The demonic beasts in front of her directly froze into ice. Qin Wentian stood at the back, his eyes gleaming with a terrifying light. Chapter 1423. The experts advanced and clashed with the greater demons, instantly destroying everything in their path. The greater demons and martial cultivators who came here were all too powerful. Even ordinary saint beasts were killed in a single strike. A group of experts advanced, as though they were invincible existences. The golden-winged great rock and the powerful Foarok before Qin Wentian opened up a path, slaughtering everything in their path. There were no demons that could obstruct their advance. But at this moment, a few powerful kings from the royal races appeared before them. A blood-colored golden-winged great rock, a golden-winged ancient beast, and a silver-colored great ape. All of them were like mutated demons. They stepped out at the same time, unleashing terrifying inheritance arts as they clashed against each other. How terrifying, these demonic beasts are too powerful. This Bao Bao is scared. A young and tender voice rang out. A snow-white demonic beast hid behind the experts, scurrying about aimlessly. Many experts rolled their eyes. Where did this bastard come from? He had already killed his way here, but this baby was afraid. Although Qin Wentian was already very shameless, he almost fainted when he heard little rascal's shameless voice. This little rascal was truly a weirdo. Qin Wentian had already seen his battle earlier. That demon emperor had nurtured many powerful abilities in him and he was no longer the little rascal of the past. Clearly, it was the right decision for him to come to the desolate 10,000 mountain range. He had found a supreme expert from the same race as him. Little Rock, seems like we are on the same path. Let's deal with these greater demons together. Little Rascal ran and leaped onto Qin Wentian's back. Little Rock. Qin Wentian almost wanted to slap Little Rascal. However, he replied, "Okay, don't worry. With the king of our rock race here, there are many other powerful characters as well. What can we do? Our strength is too weak, we can just watch from the back." Those who were fighting at the front almost coughed out blood. Among the greater demons and humans who came here, which one of them wasn't a supreme character? Yet, there were actually two shameless demonic beasts here. This was simply shameless to the extreme. However, there were still more demonic beasts rushing over. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with coldness. Little Rascal impolitely lay on Qin Wentian's back, he had no intentions to fight at all. He simply called out, "Little Rock, I'll leave this to you." Qin Wentian slashed out, unleashing the demonic art of a great rock. Numerous incomparably sharp rock phantoms manifested, slaying everything in their path. Swishing sounds rang out continuously as several greater demons were directly slain. This caused everyone to understand that although this shameless great rock wasn't at the peak, since he was able to reach this point and even defeat the king of the rock race, his combat prowess was still very strong. Although luck might have played a part in that, he was still able to grab onto the back of the golden-winged great rock tightly. A group of experts slaughtered their way forward, heading towards the Demon God Palace at the peak of the Demon God Mountain. More and more demonic figures appeared in the air. Many experts already felt that they had run out of energy. Those supreme demon kings were extremely difficult to deal with, and there were also many saint beasts surrounding them. It was hard for them to escape. There are more and more demonic beasts. What should we do? What should we do? Little Rascal hid on Qin Wentian's back as he spoke. Don't worry, just follow behind the king of my race. Qin Wentian spoke in arrogance. He followed behind the Foarok expert and the golden-winged great roc. These two supreme experts were truly incomparably powerful. At this moment, the golden-winged great roc radiated a golden light as he shuttled through the air, directly vanishing from sight. Boom! A terrifying destructive vortex appeared, wanting to swallow the golden-winged great roc. The golden-winged great roc instantly retreated and stared ahead. A terrifying demonic eye that could devour the void flashed as it blocked the path ahead. A greater demon from the Heavenhold race lifted a gigantic boulder and smashed it forward with unfathomable speed. That terrifying boulder brought with it a heaven-shaking explosive force as it smashed towards the demonic beasts ahead. Thunderous rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly. That demon unceasingly lifted the boulder and smashed it down, opening up a path ahead. Roar! An incomparably loud roar rang out. A blood-colored devilish ape appeared. Its gigantic body was akin to an ancient mountain. It lifted its cudgel and smashed it down, actually shattering the towering boulder into dust. Chaos ensued. As the battlefield continued to advance, many experts and greater demons fought each other. Their movements were no longer as orderly as before. Many experts started to engage in a chaotic battle, and each of them was surrounded by greater demons from the demon god palace. It was hard for them to break free. Purgatory also came to Qin Wentian's side. The three of them wretchedly scurried about in all directions. This was the only reason why they weren't surrounded. There were also lesser demons staring at them. The greater demons that attacked them weren't as powerful as the golden-winged great roc. There was a supremely powerful greater demon that rushed forward alone. His talent was unparalleled and he possessed terrifying innate techniques. However, many more powerful demonic beasts appeared from the demon god palace, trapping him. All sorts of violent innate techniques blasted out and very swiftly, that incomparably powerful greater demon was actually killed. This caused the hearts of the experts to tremble. They all warned themselves that unless they had absolute confidence, they shouldn't go too deep into the demon god palace or they might be surrounded and killed. Although the greater demons that surrounded them were all extremely powerful, the experts still slowly advanced forward, pulling the battlefield towards the peak of the demon god mountain. Some of the greater demons and humans were simply too powerful, possessing heaven-shaking capabilities. Qin Wentian still adopted a dodging attitude. One man and two demons evaded those powerful greater demons. Because they were at the back, the forces surrounding them were weaker. At this moment, in front of them, although Princess Kitamura's cultivation base was suppressed, her entire body radiated boundless might. She released her dark north chi as well as her astral soul, causing the demonic beasts to freeze. Once the demonic beasts were enveloped by the dark north chi, they would quickly lose their vitality. This caused Qin Wentian to sigh in admiration. If this woman's cultivation base wasn't suppressed, it was unknown how terrifying she would be. Pei Qing was also very powerful. He was able to summon 3 incarnations of Pei Qing, all of them had extraordinary combat prowess. Evidently, he had cultivated some sort of unique technique. Jiang Zihua of the Jiang clan, he was the elder brother of Jiang Ziyu and had a mysterious Buddhist technique. His body was like a vajra, his defense was extremely terrifying and he could even kill his opponents through the air. His attacks had terrifying penetrative power and one of his finger techniques was extremely powerful. He could directly penetrate through space and into the bodies of demonic beasts, destroying them with a single finger strike. When his palm imprints blasted into the bodies of his opponents, the golden bodies of the demonic beasts seemed to solidify before they turned into liquid and died. As for the expert from the Sacred Sun sect who wanted to kill Qin Wentian, he was also extremely powerful. Sunlight radiated from him, incinerating everything. Ordinary saint beasts that got close to him would be directly incinerated. Only saint beast kings would be able to defend against his attack power. These greater demons are coming out from the demon god palace, and there will be batches of them every once in a while. Our speed of killing cannot compare to the speed of the demons coming out. We have to use the fastest speed to break through the defense line. If not, at the end, no one would be able to enter the demon god palace. A voice rang out. Everyone also discovered this phenomenon. The batches of greater demons that manifested from the diagrams on the walls of the demon god palace could all become true greater demons of slaughter. One batch would advance while the other batch would defend, obstructing the experts. The experts nodded. Their killing grew even more violent as they frenziedly advanced forward. Each of them radiated a brilliant light that was incomparably dazzling, exuding boundless might. The greater demons frenziedly unleashed their innate techniques while the human Wuxia unleashed his astral souls to amplify his attacks. In a short period of time, it was unknown how many greater demons died. Should we share some of the burden? Little Rascal asked in his baby-like voice. But our strength is weaker. Let's share some of the burden at the back and deal with some weaker demons. Qin Wentian nodded. He also felt that it was time for him to act and deal with some of the greater demons. If not, he didn't know if he would have a chance to enter the demon god palace. Right now, he kept a low profile and acted weak. There was only a single reason for him to enter the demon god palace. But if at the end, no one could enter, there was no longer any meaning for him to act weak. Upon thinking of this, the human and two demons started to kill their way over and started to deal with the greater demons. Qin Wentian's god's hand activated the great rock as he unceasingly slashed out demonic arts. How could ordinary demons at the same level be able to withstand it? His killing speed was extremely fast, reducing the pressure on the experts. This caused the number of demonic beasts to decrease drastically as they continued advancing, getting closer and closer to the demon god palace. If it wasn't for some supreme greater demons that were extremely difficult to deal with, they would have already broken through. Seeing that they were getting closer and closer to the demon god palace, the experts all grew extremely cautious. At this moment, they understood that only a portion of the experts would be able to break through. Once a portion of them succeeded, the other experts would have to face even more attacks from the greater demons and there would be no more hope. There's still not much time before the next appearance of demonic beasts. Our chance has arrived. Qin Wentian transmitted his voice to Little Rascal and Purgatory. Not only for them, all the experts here knew that their chance had arrived. Right now, all of them had their own sinister intentions and started to hold back in their attacks. A few vile beasts are just a hindrance here. Scram! That expert from the Sacred Sun sect's eyes flashed with coldness when he saw Qin Wentian and the others starting to move forward. Flames of the sun ignited and shot towards Qin Wentian and the others, terrifying to the extreme. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with coldness. Obstructing him from breaking through? Go to hell then. Kill him. Qin Wentian transmitted his voice to Little Rascal and Purgatory. Purgatory flashed forward, blocking the flames of the sun. Qin Wentian and Little Rascal then rushed out with lightning speed. Destruction. A third eye appeared in the center of the great rock's brows, transforming into a vortex of destruction that enveloped the expert from the Sacred Sun sect. That expert's body ignited with the power of a sun, wanting to incinerate everything. However, Qin Wentian's sharp claws slashed out as numerous demonic arts were activated by God's hand, frenziedly blasting out. The eyes of that expert from the Sacred Sun sect narrowed. With a roar of rage, numerous suns flew out from his body, wanting to incinerate everything as they enveloped Qin Wentian. Roar! Little Rascal's body turned golden, as though it was forged from gold. With a loud roar, the suns were directly swallowed into his mouth. The body of that expert from the sacred Sun sect was also about to be devoured. In an instant, all sorts of tyrannical attacks slammed into him. The countenance of that expert from the sacred Sun sect drastically changed. After that, all sorts of attacks slammed into his body. His face was filled with terror. At this instant, he saw Qin Wentian's incomparably cold and terrifying eyes. There was no trace of cowardice at all. Qin Wentian had been acting weak all this while, all for the sake of breaking out of this encirclement. Boom! A powerful force directly destroyed him. An intense look of reluctance flashed in his eyes. Break out! Qin Wentian spoke. At this moment, the three of them had no hesitation as they rushed towards the same direction. These three shameless demonic beasts didn't retreat at all, they directly rushed towards the palace at the peak of the Demon God Mountain. Chapter 1424. The three of them moved with extreme speed. Qin Wentian was in the center, Little Rascal was on the left, and Purgatory was on the right. At this moment, the three cowardly demonic beasts suddenly had a tacit understanding with each other. This caused the gazes of many experts behind them to stiffen. The Southern Phoenix matriarch glanced at Little Rascal and Purgatory before glancing at the great rock in the center. Her beautiful eyes flashed with a faint smile. So this was the case. The people here were either greater demons of the desolate mountains or geniuses at the peak of the immortal realms. The weakest among them was an immortal king existence, and there were even immortal emperors. Before this, Qin Wentian wasn't on the same level as them. Although they had heard of Qin Wentian before, they definitely didn't understand the two demonic beasts beside Qin Wentian. If it wasn't these people, but those Immortal Foundation geniuses from the various major powers who entered the Tiandao Sacred Academy back then, they would definitely be able to guess some things. Up ahead, many powerful demonic beasts blocked their way. Their eyes were cold to the extreme, and there were even Supreme Saint Beast Kings among them. Ignite! The demonic bloodline in Qin Wentian's body was ignited. At this instant, a supreme demonic chi gushed forth, enveloping the great rock, making him seem like an unexcelled rock king. Not only him, Little Rascal and Purgatory who were in the form of golden demonic beasts also started to ignite. Their characteristics were actually somewhat similar to Qin Wentian. This scene caused everyone to be stunned. These three demonic beasts seemed a little strange. How could they be so close to each other? After all, these three demonic beasts were of completely different races. Naturally, at this moment, everyone didn't have the time to think too much. They all started to break out of the encirclement at the same time. There wasn't much time left, another batch of greater demons would be born very soon. They had to make use of this time to break out of the encirclement and enter the Demon God Palace. If not, it would be extremely difficult to find such an opportunity again. For a period of time, violent auras engulfed the entire space as roars rang out. Powerful energy frenziedly clashed against each other. Kill! Qin Wentian took the lead. With a howl of rage, he lifted his claws and tore through everything. A towering devilish might circulated within his body as the 8 saint beasts rushed out, transforming into a terrifying vortex that could devour everything. The demons retreated, all of them were sucked into the vortex. Purgatory's body was ablaze, her entire body was like a true purgatory, spitting out hellfire. Roar, roar, roar. The immature little demon from before was now like a golden demon king, insufferably arrogant. A single roar from him could devour the heavens, causing tens of thousands of demons to prostrate themselves before him. When the golden claws of a king smashed forward, the entire space was locked down. Everything inside was sucked towards him, wanting to be devoured by him. The demonic beasts there trembled uncontrollably. Heaven-devouring beast. A greater demon's eyes gleamed with a terrifying sharpness. Heaven-devouring beasts were supreme saint beasts and were extremely rare. Even in the desolate 10,000 mountain range, they were extremely rare. Their bloodlines were extremely rare, and because of their low numbers, they were unable to form a powerful race. Before this, there was a heaven-devouring beast demon emperor that brought this little fellow along with him. But who would have thought that this snow-white little demon was actually a heaven-devouring beast? In addition, was this a mutated heaven-devouring beast? Why was there only a single head? They couldn't recognize it at all. However, from the aura it exuded, this was clearly the innate ability of a heaven-devouring beast. Devouring the heavens and earth, capable of devouring an entire world. Those gigantic demonic beasts seemed to shrink as they were sucked into the vortex and swallowed into its mouth. In the legends of the desolate mountains, an adult heaven-devouring beast could successfully grow into a demon emperor, possessing the ability to devour the sun, moon and stars. And in the legends, the limit of a heaven-devouring beast was that it could devour an entire world, including the sun, moon and stars. It was one of the most terrifying supreme saint beasts. 3 inconspicuous demonic beasts suddenly unleashed their attacks, instantly sweeping through everything. When the experts saw this scene, how could they miss out on this opportunity? They all frenziedly rushed over, preparing to break out of the encirclement. Other than Qin Wentian and his group, there were a few other extremely powerful greater demons that stood at the same level as them, crushing the defenses of the demonic beasts blocking their way. Bzz. A terrifying beam of light landed on the bodies of the demons, including Qin Wentian and his group. In just an instant, Qin Wentian and the others were all petrified. In fact, this petrification was spreading towards every part of their bodies. In front of the demon god palace, a female demon that was as sexy as a human appeared. Her beautiful eyes were incomparably demonic, and with just a single glance, she was able to petrify everything. Eyes of Medusa. The hearts of the experts trembled. There was actually a legendary greater demon here, the Medusa race. The innate ability of the Medusa race was to petrify everything. However, how powerful were the experts here? Under the situation where their cultivation bases were equal, even if they were struck by the innate ability of petrification, they were still able to break free. Sounds of explosions rang out unceasingly, but those defeated demonic beasts once again surrounded them. The path they opened up earlier was once again surrounded by demonic beasts as all sorts of attacks blasted towards them. Scram! Qin Wentian let out a piercing screech, his devil might towered up into the sky, wanting to make all the demons submit. His terrifying will was like the king of all living creatures. At this moment, how could he be an ordinary great rock? He was like an uncrowned king instead. He was the true king of the great rock race, the king of the heavens and earth. All humans and demons had to submit to him, even the Medusa race was trembling. Roar! Little Rascal instantly lunged towards the Medusa race. A terrifying vortex appeared, the Medusa race's eyes stared over once more, petrifying Little Rascal's mouth. The two of them were in a stalemate, both their innate abilities were terrifying to the extreme. I don't have much time left. Qin Wentian cursed in his heart. This Medusa race was too difficult to deal with. This demon god mountain was here, but the demon god palace at the end was actually so difficult to enter. Their cultivation bases were all suppressed, and all the conditions were the same. How difficult would it be if they wanted to break through the defenses of the demon god palace? If they wanted to break through, they had to deal with the Medusa race. Night. Only to see at this moment, a greater demon, the torch dragon, rushed over. A moment later, the sky turned dark, causing the hearts of everyone to tremble. If the sky turned dark, the eyes of Medusa race would lose its effect. Roar! How could Little Rascal miss out on this opportunity? His devouring energy surged, and when the torch dragon lit up the darkness, the Medusa race had already been devoured, solving the problem. Rush! A thought appeared in the hearts of the experts. There was no more time. On the walls of the demon god palace, the demon god's shadow flickered in and out of existence, it could walk out at any moment. Go! Qin Wentian's body was like a true great rock, arcing through the air with a resplendent beam of light. God's hand activated the 8 demonic arts once more, sweeping through the path ahead. Little Rascal and Purgatory attacked at the same time. The 3 demons opened up a path, sweeping through everything in their path. Even the greater demons from the Saint Beast King race had to give way to them. Rumbling sounds of collision rang out unceasingly. The 3 greater demons joined forces and broke through all defenses, directly rushing into the demon god palace. The experts at the back didn't hold back at all, unleashing their might. Their bloodlines and innate techniques were shocking as they slaughtered their way forward. All the experts knew that there wasn't much time left. Those greater demons that appeared from the demon god palace had already solidified. Bang, bang. A resplendent Buddhic light flashed. Jiang Zihua's entire body was enveloped by it. He stomped on the ground and directly traversed the distance. On the way, he suffered an intense attack, but he didn't change his direction at all. He directly rushed into the demon god palace. A Rock and a golden-winged great rock naturally wouldn't miss out on such an opportunity. The Sky Rock sped through the air with extreme speed, slashing apart everything as they rushed in. A gigantic golden dragon that was incomparably gigantic disregarded all attacks and tore apart the demonic beasts in front of it. Its gigantic body rushed in. The various experts unleashed their strongest techniques as their silhouettes entered the demon god palace. In just an instant, many of them had already entered. Because they had already opened up a path, it was much easier for them. How could they miss out on such an excellent opportunity? In the blink of an eye, many experts entered. They were all supreme greater demons and humans. After that, demonic beasts appeared from the walls and directly blocked the path of the experts. For a moment, the light of the sun and moon dimmed, the heavens and earth dimmed. Some of the experts were directly flung through the air. After that, the other experts retreated one after another as their path forward was blocked. The opportunity was fleeting, it seemed that they had already missed it. Many greater demons stared at the blocked path ahead. To think that it was actually the great rock that opened up a path. Those 3 cowardly demonic beasts suddenly erupted with strength, opening up a path and were the first to enter the demon god palace. This was simply inconceivable. That's a human's innate technique. I can sense a different attribute energy. Even a mutated great rock doesn't have such attribute energy. Pei Qing spoke. At the last moment, he was blocked outside, only a step away. Although he didn't care that much about the demon god mountain of the desolate mountain range, he still wanted to prove himself. But at that instant earlier, Baiming Yuhuang entered. He didn't, he was blocked outside. I also feel that he isn't a demonic beast. A greater demon spoke. How did an initial stage immortal king manage to reach here? He has been concealing himself. If he revealed his human identity from the start and didn't keep such a low profile, he wouldn't have been able to reach this step with his initial stage immortal king cultivation base. Pei Qing coldly spoke. What a sinister fellow. The experts nodded. Indeed, only at the very last part of the path would his cultivation base be suppressed. If he didn't keep such a low profile earlier, he might not even have this chance. Who is he? Many experts mused silently. But very soon, they no longer thought about it as they turned their gazes ahead. Staring at the demonic beasts walking over, the experts knew that their chances were even slimmer now because their numbers were too few. Some of the peak characters managed to break through the encirclement and entered the demon god palace. They were allies outside, but now, their allies have already entered the demon god palace. If they wanted to enter again, it would be as difficult as ascending the heavens. Qin Wentian, Little Rascal and Purgatory took the lead and entered the demon god palace. They stared ahead at the demon god mountain towering above them, shining with resplendent light. As for them, they were already at the peak of the mountain. This palace was located within the Demon God Mountain. Within the palace, there were extremely ancient stone walls. The walls were inscribed with a myriad of diagrams and images of saint beasts that seemed to be alive. Qin Wentian even saw the saint beasts inside moving, causing his heart to pound violently. But the next moment, he discovered that this place was different from the outside world. These saint beasts wouldn't come out. This place, are all the saint beast kings in the demon world. Qin Wentian sighed. After that, more and more experts entered, all of them were deeply attracted by the carvings on the stone walls. Chapter 1425. Qin Wentian continued forward, moving towards the demon god mountain that towered into the sky. There seemed to be an ancient silhouette engraved on the surface of the demon god mountain. It was none other than the silhouette of an ancient demon god. His body stood there, the peak of the demon god mountain was like an incarnation of his body. With just a single glance, one could feel a supreme might exuding from him. Demon god, what race is he? Qin Wentian silently mused as he continued forward. Halt! A cold voice rang out from behind him. Qin Wentian's steps halted as a tyrannical aura enveloped him. He turned his head and saw an extremely powerful Fo'orok staring at him. That Fo'orok coldly spoke, "You are a human, not a demon. You don't have the qualifications to enter the demon god mountain." Right now, Qin Wentian was still in the form of a great rock. He could see many experts staring at him, including the human Wuxia. These people who could enter the demon god mountain were all extraordinary. Clearly, they already knew that he was the human Wuxia and not a demonic beast in disguise. The Southern Phoenix matriarch also entered. Her eyes flickered with a smile. This fellow truly caused everyone to be shocked. No wonder Chongqing the Great would favor him so much. Chongqing himself didn't manage to reach this step, yet Qin Wentian managed to do so. Naturally, this also had something to do with one's cultivation level. This was a test set up for demonic beasts. Demonic beasts had a greater advantage. Those with stronger bodies would have a greater advantage compared to those with weaker bodies. "It's you." Princess Kitamura stared at Qin Wentian. Before this, she had already guessed who Qin Wentian was. Little rascal was simply too obvious. When the two of them joined forces, Princess Kitamura recalled the incident back then in the city of ancient emperors. That golden demonic beast beside him was none other than the demonic beast who snatched her inheritance. Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with sharpness. After that, he reverted to his original form, transforming into Qin Wentian. The Demon God Mountain is a sacred ground. Since I'm already here, it means that I have the qualifications to obtain everything here. His eyes stared at that expert from the Fo'orok race as he calmly spoke. After that, he turned to Princess Kitamura. "Yu Huang, I didn't expect that we would meet again so soon. Our fate seems to be destined." "You." Princess Kitamura's body was filled with coldness. This bastard always teased her, it was simply outrageous. The Southern Phoenix matriarch had an expression of interest on her face. She smiled, "Little brat, you are truly audacious. You even dare to tease Princess Yu Huang, who is doted on by the Dark North Immortal Emperor." Princess Kitamura had an awkward expression on her face when she heard the Southern Phoenix matriarch's words. However, the Southern Phoenix matriarch's status was extraordinary and it wasn't her place to say anything. Qin Wentian bowed to the Southern Phoenix matriarch. Qin Wentian pays his respects to the Southern Phoenix matriarch. "You're welcome." The Southern Phoenix matriarch smiled and nodded. "Evergreen and Thousand Transformations both regard you so highly. As expected, you are extraordinary. You always cause trouble everywhere you go. That last Yinshi most probably can't forget you and dared to antagonize Princess Yu Huang again. Southern Phoenix matriarch, Princess Yu Huang and I are truly old acquaintances. Our fates are extremely deep and we can even be said to be inseparable. Qin Wentian shamelessly spoke. Princess Kitamura's aura grew even colder as the aura of the Dark North Immortal Emperor gushed forth. What a glib tongue! Princess Kitamura coldly spoke. Yu Huang, I understand your misunderstanding of me. Back then, I had no choice but to, you are not allowed to speak. Princess Kitamura saw that Qin Wentian was about to speak of what happened in the royal palace and immediately interrupted him. Fine, I won't speak of it. I just want to tell you that there's no need for you to view me with hatred. Qin Wentian shrugged. How leisurely and carefree. A powerful demon emperor coldly laughed. His eyes gleamed with coldness. The Southern Phoenix matriarch was acquainted with Qin Wentian. It wasn't realistic for her to act against these humans. However, this place was the peak of the Demon God Mountain, the inheritance of the demon gods. These humans wouldn't be able to obtain anything from this place. On the walls of the palaces, the inheritances of the various demon races were engraved. With a flash of their silhouettes, many supreme greater demons flew towards the statue. Resplendent light cascaded down from the statue, exuding an unfathomable aura. They wanted to see what it was exactly. Little fellows, you guys can go too. The Southern Phoenix matriarch spoke to Qin Wentian and the others. Many thanks, Southern Phoenix matriarch. Qin Wentian bowed to the Southern Phoenix matriarch. Luckily, the Southern Phoenix matriarch also came here. If not, these demons wouldn't give up. They didn't want to see humans entering the sacred ground of the demon race. This Bao is going too. Little rascal flew towards the demonic divinity, arriving at the foot of the Demon God Mountain. In an instant, the light from the Demon God Mountain cascaded down, bathing little rascal. The light that cascaded down was like the light of a demon god, containing boundless mysteries of the great Tao as it seeped into little rascal's body. Very swiftly, little rascal closed his eyes, as though he was enjoying this feeling very much. Not only for him, Qin Wentian and the other experts who arrived at the foot of the Demon God Mountain all closed their eyes as well, feeling the light cascading down. In their bodies, their blood thrummed as demonic qi gushed forth, wanting to rush out ferociously. Purgatory, you should go too. Qin Wentian spoke. Purgatory nodded. With a long cry, she flew over. Qin Wentian smiled. He lifted his feet and walked towards the foot of the Demon God Mountain, bathing in the light of the Demon God. Within the light, there seemed to be an incomparably mystical energy within, faintly resonating with the power of his bloodline. Rumbling sounds rang out from within his body as his demonic blood began to boil. He closed his eyes and quietly sensed the flow of this energy. At this moment it was as though he could see his own bloodline even more clearly than before. The rumbling sounds grew louder and louder. His bloodline was stimulated bit by bit, like a tsunami, crashing against the shore, unceasingly battering his bones. The boundless light seeped into Qin Wentian's body, entering Qin Wentian's bloodline, causing Qin Wentian to feel that this energy could faintly cause the bloodline of demonic beasts to evolve. The Southern Phoenix matriarch didn't move forward. She stood there quietly, her beautiful figure casually standing there, bathing in the divine light. As the matriarch of the Namhuang clan, there was nothing that could cause her to waver. Hence, even in such an environment, she could still make her emotions incomparably calm. She quietly watched, feeling the light cascading down from the Demon God Mountain. She slowly walked up and stretched her hand out, feeling that mystical energy. Inclining her head, her beautiful face was solemn as she stared at the sky. A smile appeared on her face, so beautiful that it could cause one's soul to tremble. Most probably, in this world, very few people would be able to see such a smile on the Southern Phoenix matriarch's face. It was very difficult for them to admire her beauty. This is a divine miracle. The Southern Phoenix matriarch smiled and sighed. When she came here, she didn't place too much hope in obtaining the demon god's inheritance. Although she had the Phoenix bloodline, she was ultimately still a human, Wuxia. She just wanted to see if the number one legend of the desolate mountains, the demon god mountain, truly had such an existence. And right now, her thoughts were verified. The southern phoenix matriarch closed her beautiful eyes and quietly stood there, quietly feeling the light of the divine miracle. She didn't care about the transformation of a greater demon, the awakening of a supreme bloodline of a greater demon, or the evolution of a greater demon. Right now, the only thing she cared about was this divine miracle. Time slowly flowed by. The human Wuxia who stepped into the demon god mountain could also sense this energy. Sometimes, he would stand in front of the mountain rampart and stare at the inheritances of the greater demons. Occasionally, he would see the greater demons that bathed in the light of the demon god mountain transforming. The demonic chi radiating from them grew stronger, and their bloodlines grew stronger. They knew that for greater demons who reached this step and bathed in the light of the divine miracle, they would undergo an ultimate transformation. They would awaken all sorts of hidden innate abilities and become even more terrifying. Purgatory was undergoing a transformation. The purgatory flames around her grew even more intense as her body became more crystalline and translucent. Little Rascal was also undergoing a transformation. His entire body circulated with a resplendent golden light as a king's aura gushed forth from him. That golden king's light seemed to be able to ignite the flames. Qin Wentian was also transforming. His bloodline seemed to be burning as an incomparably dazzling divine light circulated around him. It was as bright as fire and as fresh as blood. The shadow of a king from the supreme ancient immortal realms appeared. This was none other than Qin Wentian himself. This shadow seemed to be burning, like a guardian divinity, protecting Qin Wentian's body. Qin Wentian gradually fused together with the power of his bloodline that he once couldn't control. His aura soared madly. However, his bloodline had no way to evolve. It was like the power of the divine miracle wasn't sufficient to allow his bloodline to evolve. It could only stimulate the power of his bloodline. So it turns out that the abilities I've been searching for were all derived from the innate abilities of my bloodline. Qin Wentian silently mused. He opened his eyes as an incomparably intense blood-colored light radiated from them. He still stood there, not moving an inch. However, his aura seemed to have changed, becoming even more extraordinary, akin to a king born from the heavens. Innate bloodline, innate ability, burning transformation. Qin Wentian silently mused. This wasn't a name he came up with himself. It was a name given to him by his bloodline. Many powerful saint beasts and greater demons all had innate bloodline, innate abilities. In fact, there were even some greater demons who had more than one bloodline innate ability. They could awaken their innate abilities as they grew stronger, evolving and transforming. And now, Qin Wentian discovered that he, who had an extremely powerful demonic bloodline, also possessed an innate bloodline innate ability. The burning transformation was a bloodline innate ability. It could ignite the power of one's bloodline, strengthening the strength of one's body and increasing the strength of one's attacks. At the very least, it could be doubled. Based on what Qin Wentian felt now, if he were to undergo the burning transformation, his strength would definitely be more than doubled. Secondly, when his defense grew stronger, he would be able to transform into a powerful bloodline protection. This bloodline protection was in the form of himself, yet it could transform into all sorts of demonic beasts. If he unleashed the innate abilities of the demonic beasts, the might of the innate abilities would be even more terrifying, far surpassing the amplification effect brought by the burning transformation. After knowing the power bestowed upon him by his bloodline, Qin Wentian understood that the powers he had activated in the past were merely in the embryonic form. The innate abilities of his bloodline had yet to take form. Chapter 1426. Qin Wentian was in no hurry to leave. He glanced at the experts in the surroundings. The transformation of the powerful human, Wuxia, wasn't that obvious, but those greater demons had truly undergone a transformation, becoming even more terrifying. As experts of the demonic race, these greater demons would definitely evolve to an extremely powerful level after bathing in the radiance of the demon god mountain. In the future, the greater demons that walked out from here would all become competitors for the throne of the desolate mountains. In the legends, the demon god mountain was a sign of the birth of a demon god. It was similar to how the Tiandao Sacred Academy symbolized the era of ancient emperors. Regardless of the immortal realms or the desolate mountains, both were welcoming an era of transcendence. Purgatory and Little Rascal were also transforming. Upon seeing their transformations, Qin Wentian couldn't help but to smile. This was especially so for Little Rascal. That snow-white little fellow was now covered in a golden hue. His entire body exuded an aura of supremacy, and although his body wasn't as large as many demonic beasts, he gave off a feeling of perfection. Strands of heaven-devouring intent radiated from him. Not far away, he saw a beautiful figure bathing in the demonic radiance. She was like a goddess from the 9 heavens, incomparably holy and inviolable. That was none other than the Southern Phoenix matriarch. Even someone as powerful as her was also sensing the demonic radiance, attentively comprehending it. At the Southern Phoenix matriarch's level, what she pursued most probably was that illusory miraculous miracle. She herself already stood at the peak of the immortal realms. Qin Wentian closed his eyes as he continued to sense the sensation of the demonic light seeping into his bloodline. Sadly, this surge of energy was still unable to allow him to truly control his bloodline. That bloodline was still as illusory as before. Although he was able to borrow some of the energy from the demonic god's bloodline, it was still as pure as before. After the first true awakening of his demon blood, in addition to the permeation of the demon god's radiance, Qin Wentian's bloodline started to refine his muscles and bones. The bones in his body were now glowing with a brilliant light, like runic bones, containing a wondrous amount of energy. His bloodline and body underwent the baptism, growing stronger and stronger. His comprehension of law energy also grew deeper. At the foot of the demon god mountain, all energy was no longer suppressed. He could better sense and comprehend. Many experts were also immersed in this wondrous state. In the blink of an eye, a year had already passed since the demon god mountain was opened. During this year, even more greater demons and humans of the desolate mountains appeared. But even so, only a few experts managed to enter the demon god mountain. Evidently, it was an extremely difficult thing to reach here. The desolate mountains were shaken, the immortal realms were shaken as well. Everyone faintly felt some worry. This time, the demons of the desolate mountains were advancing and retreating, causing the desolate mountains to grow even more terrifying. If they attacked the immortal realms, it would surely be a calamity. In the past, the people of the immortal realms didn't have a deep impression of the desolate mountains. They only knew that in the extreme north of the immortal realms, there was a boundlessly vast desolate region. That place was a paradise for demonic beasts. But during this year, all sorts of rumors regarding the desolate mountains were circulated to the immortal realms. The people of the immortal realms all knew about those powerful greater demons. There were many people saying that the strength of the desolate mountains surpassed the immortal realms. Those greater demons of the desolate mountains were even more terrifying compared to the peak powers of the immortal realms. After several months passed, the third eye in the center of Qin Wentian's brows suddenly opened, shooting out a terrifying beam of demonic light. In an instant, a destructive domain appeared, filled with destructive light. Each beam of light was as sharp as swords. The third eye closed and dissipated. Qin Wentian's eyes opened, gleaming with a bright light. The innate ability of the evil god race. As expected, I can also cultivate it. Borrowing the power of my bloodline, I actually managed to form a second law domain. My first law domain is God's hand, my second law domain is the evil eye domain. Qin Wentian silently mused. He could still continue to perfect his evil eye domain, making it even stronger, becoming a supreme attack technique of his. You have the bloodline of a greater demon in your body. A cold voice drifted over, sounding exceptionally melodious. Qin Wentian saw an extremely beautiful face. He smiled, "Yup, if not, why would I come here? Yu Huang, what are you doing here?" Although the Demon God Mountain is a divine ground for demonic beasts, there are still many good things about it. The shadows of the greater demons on the ramparts are similar to those of the Demon God Mountain. In fact, they can even transmit the innate techniques and arts of the demonic beasts. Even humans would be able to gain many insights from them. Princess Kitamura calmly spoke. From her attitude, it seemed that she didn't have too much of a grudge against Qin Wentian. Maybe, after being teased by Qin Wentian so many times, she had already gotten used to it. Even Senior Phoenix Matriarch is meditating here. From this, one can see how extraordinary this place is. Although we are far from the Phoenix Matriarch, we should still cherish this rare opportunity. Qin Wentian nodded. Yu Huang, let's not bother about the misunderstanding between us. Although you are considered my senior, because of the good fortune we shared in the Dark North Immortal Mountain, I can feel a sense of closeness between us. There's no need to be respectful to me as a junior, you can just call me Wentian. Shameless. Princess Kitamura coldly stared at Qin Wentian. Yu Huang, you are so beautiful. If you smile, the world would lose its luster. Why must you keep such a cold expression on your face? Qin Wentian sighed. Princess Kitamura was completely defeated by the shamelessness of this fellow. At this moment, Little Rascal also woke up. He blinked his eyes as he stared at Qin Wentian and Princess Kitamura. There seemed to be something going on between these two fellows. Do you like this beauty? Little Rascal leisurely walked out. Eh. Qin Wentian glared at Little Rascal, what does a little rascal like you know? My relationship with Yu Huang is very deep. How can you understand? Little Rascal's eyes spun about, evidently he didn't believe it. Princess Kitamura stared at Little Rascal as a strange light flashed in her eyes. What are you looking at? Although you are beautiful, I won't be tempted by you. I know you want my inheritance, but if you want me to give it to you, you have to promise me a condition. Little Rascal spoke. Both he and Princess Kitamura knew that the other party had the inheritance of the Brahma Heavenly Emperor. What condition? Princess Kitamura asked. My Wentian has outstanding talent and is cultivating together with this king. In the future, he would definitely unify the immortal realms and become a supreme existence. How about you marry Wentian as a concubine and I will give you my inheritance? Little Rascal inclined his head as he spoke. Rumble. A wave of coldness instantly enveloped this space. Qin Wentian shivered as he silently cursed at Little Rascal. It wasn't easy for them to warm up their relationship. This time around, Little Rascal was doomed. Princess Kitamura's eyes were incomparably cold as she stared at Little Rascal. She was the daughter of the Dark North Immortal Emperor, a princess of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom and the youngest immortal emperor in the history of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. How dazzling was her halo! Leaving aside her heaven-shaking beauty, this Little Rascal actually wanted her to marry Qin Wentian as a concubine. Little Rascal shivered and hid behind Qin Wentian as he spoke in a low voice, so cold. Beauty, don't be angry even if you don't agree. This Bao Bao is discussing this with you. Not this king. Princess Kitamura's voice was extremely cold. I'm just joking, am I right, Wentian? Little Rascal's body transformed into a snow-white demonic beast as he poked his head out. He was extremely adorable, causing people to feel a reluctance to act against him. Yes, Little Rascal is more mischievous. Yu Huang, don't lower yourself to his level. Qin Wentian trembled as he spoke. This fellow was getting more and more outrageous, he even dared to make such a joke. He was only teasing Princess Kitamura, but this rascal actually said that he wanted Princess Kitamura to be his concubine. If this was heard by the Dark North Immortal Emperor, he would definitely kill him directly. That's right, beauty, I will pass the inheritance to you right now. There's no need for you to agree to any conditions, just remember this Baobao's kindness. As for the matter between you and Wentian, be it as a wife or as a concubine, this Baobao doesn't care. Little Rascal spoke in a baby voice, his words causing Princess Kitamura's beautiful eyes to flicker. Is what you said true? If I take away your inheritance, can you bear it? You are underestimating this Baobao too much. Little Rascal's body flashed as he leaped into Princess Kitamura's embrace. Princess Kitamura caught him, only to see Little Rascal snuggling into her embrace and lying there lazily, as though he was enjoying this. He even winked at Qin Wentian, causing Qin Wentian to be dumbfounded. What a beast! Only now did this Baobao know that the Brahma Heavenly Emperor is from the same race as me. In addition, this Baobao is the king of this race. Now that I can directly awaken the inheritance of the Brahma Heavenly Emperor, why would I still care about his inheritance? In addition, I can take the initiative to pass it to you. There won't be any harm to me. Little Rascal spoke in an arrogant manner. Elder sister, you are so beautiful. What is your name? Qin Wentian had a face filled with black lines, he was completely defeated. He discovered that right now, there was nothing he needed to do. Lifting his feet, Qin Wentian walked towards the mountain rampart. Behind him, a gentle voice drifted over, Princess Kitamura. Elder sister Yu Huang. Little Rascal called out in a babyish voice. Qin Wentian's footsteps were a little unsteady. This rascal was even more shameless than before. Seems like he was growing up. Heaven-devouring beasts are one of the rarest saint beasts of the demon race. They are extremely rare, even in the desolate mountain range. To think that the Brahma Heavenly Emperor was actually a heaven-devouring beast. Also, there are no records of the royal bloodline of heaven-devouring beasts. This little fellow is the king of heaven-devouring beasts. Seems like your luck isn't bad. It's just that I didn't expect the royal bloodline of heaven-devouring beasts to be so adorable. The voice of the Southern Phoenix matriarch drifted over. Qin Wentian glanced at the matriarch, senior matriarch, this little fellow has always been mischievous since young and likes to boast. Who knows if he is from the royal bloodline or not? It should be true. For some demons with high bloodlines, their performance would be even more terrifying the further they advanced. Only when their cultivation base reached a higher level would they awaken their bloodline and innate abilities. This little fellow only awakened his bloodline at such a late stage. Most probably, his bloodline must be extremely noble. In the future, he might really be able to devour the sun, moon, and constellations like in the legends. The Southern Phoenix matriarch's voice caused Qin Wentian to feel a little surreal. He stared at Little Rascal in Princess Kitamura's embrace. This adorable and shameless little fellow, no matter how he looked at it, he didn't seem like a supreme greater demon from the legends at all. Chapter 1427. Naturally, if Little Rascal was truly from the royal bloodline of heaven-devouring beasts, Qin Wentian would naturally be happy for him. After this awakening, Little Rascal would surely be even more terrifying when he went out. Senior Phoenix Matriarch, I will go take a look at the rampart. Qin Wentian was the Southern Phoenix Matriarch. Her beauty was unparalleled and her demeanor was extraordinary. However, it was impossible for him to be as casual as he was with Princess Kitamura. Go on, since you can awaken your bloodline, you will surely have many harvests here. The Southern Phoenix Matriarch smiled and nodded. Qin Wentian nodded and walked towards the rampart, staring at those supreme greater demons and saint beasts. There were many greater demons of the dragon race, ancient phoenixes, vermilion birds, black tortoises, kirans, white tigers, tautai, primal chaos and many other saint beasts. There were also some extremely rare saint beasts. Qin Wentian walked towards the image of a golden-winged rock and stared at it. After that, his perception gradually sank into it as a shocking scene appeared in his mind. There was a golden-winged rock there. He had the speed of a great rock and could shuttle through space uncontrollably. His wings were like the sharpest swords in the world, capable of slashing apart all existences. Everywhere he passed by, the heavens and earth would be cleaved into two. That sharp sword was invincible, capable of destroying everything. He stared ahead and flapped his wings, creating a terrifying spatial storm that could annihilate everything. He had many unexcelled innate techniques and powerful innate techniques. It felt like he could comprehend all of them here. Qin Wentian quietly contemplated. Now that his bloodline had already awakened, he could cultivate the energy of the evil god race. This meant that he could also cultivate the innate techniques of other greater demons. If his attribute was compatible, he might even be able to cultivate the innate techniques of other greater demons. Although he might not be able to cultivate the innate techniques of the great rock, he had always cultivated the movement technique of a great rock. Comprehending it here would allow him to gain a deeper understanding of it. Although he had no way to stand shoulder to shoulder with the golden-winged rock, his movement technique would still be of great help to him. He naturally wouldn't miss out on such an opportunity. Qin Wentian immersed himself for a long time before he broke free. After that, he continued to glance at the other saint beasts and greater demons, searching for innate techniques that were suitable for him to cultivate. Is this an elephant demon? Qin Wentian found a powerful and terrifying holy beast. It was from the elephant demon race, but this elephant was like a divine elephant. It was the king of the elephant race. Its body was incomparably huge, like an ancient mountain. Its entire body seemed to be cast from metal. Qin Wentian's consciousness sank into it. The divine elephant let out a trumpet that caused the heavens and earth to tremble. Its forehooves stomped on the ground, and suddenly, Qin Wentian had a feeling that this part of the world was being suppressed. It was as if a supreme power was descending, incomparably heavy. After that, the divine elephant continued to stomp on the ground, causing the sky to collapse and the earth to crack. Everything was about to be crushed and turned into ashes. What a powerful innate technique. This part of the sky seems to be suppressed, and there's also an extremely strong gravity force. If my opponent is trapped within, they would surely be suppressed to the point of being unable to move. Qin Wentian's heart trembled. He was proficient in the laws of force, suppression, and tyrannical devil. His attacks were supported by the laws of sword and destruction. If he could use the innate ability of the divine elephant to form a law domain, he would surely be able to unleash shocking might. Even if he couldn't completely kill his opponent, with the support of the evil eye domain and God's hand domain, his might would surely be even more terrifying. When he thought of this, Qin Wentian started to seriously cultivate and comprehend. Once again, he immersed himself in cultivation, unable to extricate himself. This time, he cultivated for a very long time. After reaching the Immortal King realm, wanting to use his bloodline power and law energy to imitate the innate ability of a greater demon to form a law domain wasn't so simple. He naturally needed a long period of time to comprehend it. In addition, as he continued to comprehend and explore his law domain, Qin Wentian's understanding and usage of law energy grew increasingly deeper. After a long time, Qin Wentian finally formed his third law domain. With the support of his bloodline power, he could unleash the full potential of this law domain. He named it the Divine Elephant Law Domain. Right now, Qin Wentian had already comprehended 3 types of law domains: God's Hand Domain, Evil Eye Domain, and Divine Elephant Law Domain. Each of them had different levels of power, and his foundation in the Immortal King realm grew more and more stable. He continued to cultivate, comprehending the innate abilities of the greater demons. Not only him, those human stellar martial cultivators were also here, not willing to leave. All of them had some gains. Qin Wentian saw some rarely seen abilities of greater demons. For example, he saw a type of demonic beast he had never seen before, the Dream Taper. This demon had the ability to devour the dreams of others, causing them to be unable to extricate themselves. Such an innate ability was incomparably wondrous. Although it wasn't an attack, the power it contained was still extremely shocking. However, Qin Wentian had no way to cultivate such an innate ability. He could only continue to sense the other innate abilities. Time flowed by extremely quickly. Unknowingly, 3 years have already passed since the Demon God Mountain was opened. Qin Wentian and the others have been cultivating in the Demon God Mountain and didn't leave. At this moment, Qin Wentian was sitting below the divine statue, quietly comprehending the various innate abilities of the demon world. By relying on the 10,000 Laws record, as well as the mirror technique he learned in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, he was able to manifest innate abilities just by sitting there. In Qin Wentian's consciousness, he was currently practicing a sword art. The mirror floated in the air as his figure wielded a sharp sword. Within the sword, a mysterious aura gushed forth, akin to a dream, yet also exuding a tyrannical devilish might. Qin Wentian moved. His silhouette resembled a great rock, his movements as fast as lightning. When he slashed out with his sword, it was like a dream, an illusory sword, a sword of dreams. It felt surreal, but as the sword light slashed down, a terrifying sonic boom rang out. One could faintly see the sharp claws of a golden-winged great rock slashing through the heavens and earth, as fast as lightning, incomparably tyrannical. However, the sword art instantly changed. When the first strike missed, the second one instantly slashed out. The style of this sword changed abruptly, it was no longer a slash but a stab instead. It was still as illusory as before, causing people to feel that it was an illusion. However, what didn't change was the speed and tyranny of the sword, as well as the sonic boom that could suppress everything. It was like the attack of a divine elephant, containing boundless might. The sword didn't stop there. The third sword strike was like the birth of a true dragon, capable of destroying everything, breaking apart the heavens and earth. After the third sword strike, Qin Wentian's figure halted. The 3 sword strikes are linked together, and the sword art changes every time. It's truly not easy to master them. However, if this sword art is completed, the might it might unleash would surely be shocking. If I can use the power of God's hand to activate it, the might of the attack would surely be extremely powerful. Qin Wentian silently mused. This sword art was something he created after these few days. The might it unleashed was incomparably tyrannical, and each sword strike was like the innate ability of a greater demon. It was extremely terrifying, and the soul of this sword was derived from the innate ability of a greater demon, the Dream Taper. It contained the power of a dream demon, and when the sword strike was unleashed, the opponent would feel as though they were in a dream, sinking into a state of surrealism. If one's law energy or will wasn't strong enough, a single sword strike would be sufficient to kill them. He named this sword art the Dream Demon Sword Art, having the same name as the Dream Taper. It wasn't perfected yet. He continued to cultivate it, infusing the energy of the greater demons into his sword art. After that, he continued to perfect it, transforming it into a sword strike that he could use as he pleased, allowing him to complement his powerful movement techniques. The human Wuxia's talent compared to demonic beasts lay in his comprehension abilities. He naturally had to make good use of this comprehension ability. In the process of perfecting his sword art, Qin Wentian also perfected his own saber and halberd arts, corroborating each other and improving unceasingly. If he stagnated, he would stand up and observe the rampart of the Demon God Mountain, continuing to comprehend it. By repeating this, his cultivation base improved unceasingly, and his strength grew stronger bit by bit. His usage of law energy grew stronger and stronger as well. Naturally, all of this was happening silently. No one knew how much he improved or what he comprehended. Everything was just a simulation in his mind. However, the greater demons and humans here all improved greatly. Some of the greater demons grew more and more terrifying, awakening to a shocking extent. 7 years have already passed. The news of the opening of the Demon God Mountain had long circulated throughout the desolate mountains and the immortal realms. The people who were shocked by the news had already calmed down. Although they still felt some trepidation, the greater demons cultivating in the Demon God Mountain all calmed down. They knew that it would still take a very long period of time before these greater demons would be able to exit the mountain. During these years, Little Rascal, who had passed the inheritance to Princess Kitamura, had a very good relationship with Princess Kitamura. Little Rascal would occasionally jump into Princess Kitamura's embrace to play, and would even lie on Princess Kitamura's chest to rest. This simply caused Qin Wentian to stare dumbfoundedly in admiration of this little fellow. Some demons were born with the ability to bewitch women. Even for those beauties who could bring about the downfall of empires, they wouldn't be able to escape his demonic claws. What made Qin Wentian even more depressed was that when Little Rascal shamelessly flirted with women, his cultivation actually didn't fall behind at all. His improvement speed was godly. Such an innate talent of the demonic race simply caused others to be jealous. Naturally, Qin Wentian's improvement was also extremely great. Today, he who was sitting below the divine statue on the Demon God Mountain was basking in the radiance of the Demon God Mountain. At the peak of the Demon God Mountain, terrifying law energy cascaded downwards, entering his body as a powerful law energy radiated from him. At this moment, Princess Kitamura's eyes flashed as she stared at Qin Wentian. After that, she saw a radiant smile appearing on Qin Wentian's handsome face. Under the radiance of the Demon God Mountain, Qin Wentian's countenance seemed to contain a magical charm, extremely attractive to the eyes of others. However, Princess Kitamura didn't mind his attractive looks. Because, from Qin Wentian, she could actually sense a mid-stage Immortal King aura. This cultivation speed. Princess Kitamura felt her heart trembling. This fellow broke through to the Immortal King realm in the Immortal Law Mountain in the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. How many years has it been since then? He actually broke through to the mid-stage of the Immortal King realm. Although this was due to the effects of the Demon God Mountain, as well as the recovery of his bloodline, it still caused Princess Kitamura to feel shock in her heart. Didn't Qin Wentian say that he had cultivated for less than 200 years? If this continued, wouldn't he be able to become an immortal emperor within 300 years? Chapter 1428. Qin Wentian's cultivation base had indeed reached the mid-stage of the Immortal King realm. However, he had just stepped into this realm. During the 7 years he spent on the Demon God Mountain, he experienced the initial awakening of his bloodline and could truly control the power of his bloodline. He bathed in the radiance of the Demon God Mountain and also comprehended his law domain, creating innate techniques. All sorts of improvements required him to comprehend the law energy. His rate of improvement was extremely fast, it was much faster compared to cultivating in other places. Hence, he only used 7 years to break through to the mid-stage of the Immortal King realm. This could be considered a miracle. This was something he didn't expect. He continued to cultivate, comprehending the law energy and stabilizing his foundation. For those who entered the Demon God Palace, none of them left. They all knew that this was an extremely rare opportunity. Unless the Demon God Mountain itself disappeared, it was impossible for them to give up on such a rare opportunity. Even immortal emperors were reluctant to leave. Even someone as strong as the Southern Phoenix Matriarch was comprehending the Demon God Mountain, let alone immortal kings. In fact, they all focused on their own cultivation, doing their best to grow stronger. They rarely interacted with each other, seizing the opportunity to strengthen themselves. There wouldn't be a second chance for the Demon God Mountain to open. Outside the palace, on the ancient path of the Demon God Mountain, it was unknown how many experts were there. They were still attempting to ascend the ancient path, wanting to reach the end or search for good fortune in other places of the Demon God Mountain. The demonic beasts of the desolate mountains naturally wouldn't leave. More and more people gathered here. Even for human cultivators, there were many more compared to the past. On the 10th year of the Demon God Mountain, today, the Demon God Mountain trembled. There seemed to be a change in the sky. Countless people inclined their heads and stared at the sky. After that, they only saw the radiance in the sky gradually dimming. In an instant, a chain reaction occurred. The radiance in the sky was the radiance of the demon god mountain. When the radiance dimmed, the demon god mountain dimmed as well. Gradually, the radiance was transmitted to the palace. The palace at the peak of the demon god mountain suddenly turned dark. The people inside all inclined their heads in shock. After that, they saw that the statue also dimmed, resembling an ordinary statue. After that, the statue on the walls of the palace dimmed as well, no longer emitting any spiritual energy. It no longer contained any powerful demonic arts and became a stone statue. There was nothing special about it. God Mountain. The hearts of the greater demons trembled. Was their holy land, the God Mountain, going to disappear just like that? The radiance faded away, the divine mountain transformed back into an ordinary mountain. Although it was extremely tall, it was no longer a mountain of miracles. Outside the palace, on the stone walls, there were no more demonic beasts. The demonic beasts that were roaring madly and fighting outside were all petrified, transforming into statues of demonic beasts. This caused the experts who were fighting to be dumbfounded. Everything happened too suddenly. However, this wasn't the end. This force continued to extend down the ancient path at an extremely fast speed. All the miracles on the ancient path disappeared. The demonic beasts were petrified, the ancient path no longer had any luster, the ancient trees withered, and the ancient path no longer had any divine splendor. After that, the entire godly mountain seemed to be corroded by darkness. All of the miracles vanished, and all of the plants and vegetation that could help the greater demons evolve withered. 10 years later, the divine mountain disappeared, turning into an ordinary towering mountain range. Countless demonic beasts raised their heads and looked at the sky, watching as the Holy Land left. They felt a sense of loss, and there were even many demonic beasts that prostrated themselves on the ground, sobbing. This was the demon god mountain, the legend of their desolate 10,000 mountain range, the miracle of the desolate mountains. Did it vanish just like that? The godly mountain has finally vanished. In this boundlessly vast region, many humans actually heaved a sigh of relief. During these 10 years, greater demons of the desolate mountains rose up everywhere, evolving and transforming. They could only watch helplessly, unable to do anything about it. Every day, the strength of the desolate mountains grew stronger, causing them to feel an intense sense of danger. Luckily, this day finally arrived. The godly mountain vanished and everything returned to peace. Let's hope that the greater demons of the desolate mountains would return to where they came from and wouldn't attack the immortal realms. But naturally, this might only be an extravagant hope. Even if the greater demons of the desolate 10,000 mountain range didn't attack the immortal realms, they were already exposed to the immortal realms. Many powerful royal clans have already walked out and it was almost impossible for them to return to where they came from. In the palace at the peak of the godly mountain, the southern phoenix matriarch quietly watched everything that happened. She was still as beautiful as ever, like a goddess from the 9 heavens. She stood there and sighed lightly. As expected of a miracle. But now, the miracle has vanished. What a pity. This Bao hasn't cultivated enough. Little Rascal spoke in a somewhat depressed manner. Qin Wentian rolled his eyes, glaring at Little Rascal. This Little Rascal evolved again a few months before the godly mountain vanished, becoming a mid-stage immortal king. His gains were even greater than Qin Wentian's, but he actually said that he hasn't cultivated enough. What's worse was that did Little Rascal really put in effort in his cultivation? Most of the time when he woke up, he would see this bastard clinging on to Baiming Youhuang's body. However, Qin Wentian could understand why Little Rascal's improvement was so great. After all, Little Rascal's bloodline had truly awakened. After bathing in the radiance of the godly mountain, he underwent a transformation and became a true heaven-devouring beast. As a transcendent-level saint beast, the benefits he received naturally far surpassed humans. Although Qin Wentian had a powerful greater demon bloodline, the benefits he received weren't too much. He only gained full control over his bloodline and didn't evolve. Maybe, even this miracle wouldn't be able to allow his bloodline to evolve. Even now, Qin Wentian still didn't know which greater demon bloodline flowed in his body. His innate talent, flame transformation, seemed to be able to allow him to cultivate the demonic arts and techniques of any greater demon race. It was extremely extraordinary. Big Brother Qin. Only to see Purgatory walking over. She was in her human form. That fiery figure of hers clad in fiery red robes appeared once again. Now that she had broken through to the immortal king realm, her demeanor was naturally even more extraordinary. Her charm grew even greater, radiating the charm of a demonic woman. Purgatory, your cultivation base has stabilized at the late phase of the initial phase immortal king realm. Not bad. Qin Wentian smiled and nodded. My cultivation speed is still not as fast as Big Brother Qin's. Purgatory had a charming smile on her face. Most probably, she still didn't know how great her charm was. Little Purgatory, there's still a gap between us. Little Rascal inclined his head and spoke. Qin Wentian directly smacked Little Rascal's head. Scram. I'll scram then. Humph, Little Rascal spoke in a baby-like voice. After that, he leaped into the embrace of Princess Kitamura and laid there, staring at Qin Wentian with a mocking gaze. Why are you showing off to your demonic beast companion? Princess Kitamura coldly glanced at Qin Wentian. She gently stroked Little Rascal's body. Eh. Qin Wentian was stunned as his face was filled with black lines. He saw Little Rascal stretching out its paws to show off. Let's go out. A voice that was as refreshing as the spring breeze drifted over. The Southern Phoenix matriarch walked over and nodded her head to Qin Wentian and the others. Qin Wentian replied. After that, he walked out of the palace. Everyone sighed at the fact that the miraculous scene had disappeared. They didn't linger here any longer as they respectively walked out. After exiting the palace, there were already many people outside. Right now, their immortal senses were no longer obstructed and they could naturally see the situation inside. They could also sense the changes to the Demon God Mountain and all of them had looks of disappointment on their faces. The miracle of the Demon God Mountain had completely vanished. At the bottom of the ancient pathway, there were still people rushing over. They already knew the ending even before they arrived, but they still wanted to personally see the peak of the Demon God Mountain which they had never been to before. Yu Huang. The Dark North Immortal Emperor walked over. Southern Phoenix Matriarch. The experts from the Nam Huang clan also arrived. Wentian. Chongqing the Great and Bai Wuya also arrived. Little Fellow. The Demon Emperor Heaven-devouring beast also arrived. There were also experts from the various major powers who came over. In fact, there were even some supreme characters from the immortal realms. This was especially so for those Empyreans who entered the palace. Young Master. Qi Yu and the other experts from the Battle Saint tribe also walked over. Qin Wentian. A cold voice rang out. The experts from the Supreme Sword School of the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom arrived. When they saw Qin Wentian walking out from the palace at the peak of the Demon God Mountain, their expressions instantly turned extremely unsightly to behold. Among them, the Empyrean of the Supreme Sword School, Shangguang Jiani, was among them. Something even he failed to accomplish, Qin Wentian actually succeeded. Why are you inside? Pei Qing's expression turned cold when he saw Qin Wentian. How could this be? He had never left and had been trying to enter the palace. However, he had never seen Qin Wentian entering before. He is that great rock. A voice spoke. After that, numerous gazes turned to Qin Wentian. This fellow was that great rock. What great rock? He is Qin Wentian from the immortal Qianbian Gate of the Eastern regions, the son-in-law of Chongqing the Great. This fellow has a cultivation base at the initial stage of the Immortal King realm. He transformed into a great rock and joined forces with 2 demonic beasts to barge in. Simply shameless and despicable to the extreme. Qin Wentian laughed as he stared at everyone. He didn't care about the words of these people. So what if they knew? He has already entered the palace at the peak of the Demon God Mountain. His cultivation base has improved, stepping into the mid-stage of the Immortal King realm, establishing 2 law domains and comprehending powerful innate techniques. His purpose of transforming into a great rock has already been achieved. Why would he care about how these people view him? Strength was what he pursued. You are that bastard. A mid-stage Immortal King from the Sacred Sun sect had an ashen expression. Sun flames could be seen flickering around him. That great rock had deceived everyone and even mocked him for being trash. He even killed someone of the same generation as you when he was suppressing his cultivation base. A greater demon coldly spoke. That expert from the Sacred Sun sect radiated a blazing sun fire. You killed my senior brother. The saint child of the Sacred Sun sect was killed. Can you swallow this? An expert from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom instigated. Qin Wentian. A few terrifying roars rang out. Numerous gigantic white tigers rushed over, staring at Qin Wentian. You are the one who ate white tiger meat in the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Chapter 1429. Qin Wentian glanced at the experts in the surroundings. He didn't expect that so many people would want to find trouble for him after he exited the Demon God Palace. The experts from the Sacred Sun sect, the White Tiger people, as well as the experts from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom and the Supreme Sword School. Scram! Qin Wentian coldly glanced at the White Tiger people. The experts from the White Tiger people roared in rage, their baleful auras towering up into the sky. However, at this moment, many experts appeared beside Qin Wentian. Bai Wuya's aura gushed forth while Chongqing the Great quietly stood there. Both sides were extremely powerful. Who would dare to move recklessly? Qin Wentian then turned to the experts from the Sacred Sun sect. His eyes flashed with killing intent. It was none other than this expert from the Sacred Sun sect who killed the old Rock King. Trash like you still dares to be so impudent before me? Qin Wentian stared at the experts, radiating coldness. Hao Tian was killed by him. A powerful expert from the Sacred Sun sect appeared, exuding terrifying emperor might. The flames of the sun seemed to want to incinerate the heavens and earth. The expert from the Sacred Sun sect who killed the old Rock King earlier was none other than the saint child of the Sacred Sun sect. His talent was extremely outstanding, but he was actually killed by someone else. The expert who killed the old Rock King nodded. You dare to kill the saint child of my sect? The immortal emperor from the Sacred Sun sect stepped out. With a grab, a blazing sun appeared, enveloping Qin Wentian. Are you courting death? Chongqing the Great stepped out as a formless terrifying energy gushed forth, shattering the blazing sun. Chongqing the Great's emperor might gushed forth as his robes fluttered in the wind. Chongqing. That immortal emperor glanced at Chongqing the Great. He killed the saint child of my sect. You want to protect him? What an awe-inspiring Sacred Sun sect. Qin Wentian's eyes were cold. Your sage child wanted to kill me and was killed by me. An immortal emperor actually still has the face to act against me in such a dignified manner. What a useless sect. Just with the likes of you. If you didn't use despicable methods, would you be able to kill a saint child of my sect? The immortal emperor glanced at Qin Wentian, feeling extremely confident in the saint child of the Sacred Sun sect. Ha! Qin Wentian laughed uproariously. Before this man was also so domineering and tyrannical, killing my friend right in front of my face, thinking that he's invincible under the heavens. The people from the Supreme Sword School and the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom are all like this as well. All of you are so arrogant and despotic, acting like you are all unrivaled characters. How ridiculous. Since you guys are so arrogant and think that you are invincible, why don't you challenge me one by one in front of all the experts in the immortal realms? You are courting death. The expert from the Sacred Sun sect who killed the Great Rock spoke. You have just broken through to the mid-stage of the Immortal King realm. You actually dare to be so arrogant and despotic? Fine, I will kill you myself. Can you guarantee that the others won't act against me? Even if you are already at the late stage of the mid-stage, do you think there is a need for others to act to kill trash like you? Qin Wentian arrogantly spoke. His silhouette flashed as he soared into the air, coldly staring at the experts from the Supreme Sword School and the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom. You guys don't need to sow discord. If you have the guts, just scram out and fight me. If not, just scram back to where you came from. Why are you still not coming out to fight? Qin Wentian coldly spoke to that expert from the Sacred Sun sect. That expert from the Sacred Sun sect laughed maniacally as he soared up into the air. This is the first time I've seen someone so arrogant, not knowing the immensity of the heavens and earth. Such an ignorant person actually has such a high reputation in the eastern regions. How ridiculous. I'm here to take your lowly life. As he spoke, blazing flames surged around him as a terrifying beam of sunlight manifested behind him. Right now, there was no longer any suppression from the demon god mountain. His aura at the late stage of the mid-stage of the immortal realms was extremely terrifying. That beam of sunlight enveloped the heavens and earth, causing the entire space to burn. His domain was unleashed and Qin Wentian was in the center of it. The power of his domain was so strong that it could melt everything in the world, blasting towards Qin Wentian. An extremely terrifying scene appeared in the air. The temperature of the entire area turned incomparably hot. Many experts below released their auras and used their defensive techniques in order to not be affected. When they saw this terrifying scene, they could feel how strong the destructive might was. Even ordinary late-stage mid-stage immortal kings would be directly incinerated to death. Qin Wentian had just broken through to the mid-stage of the immortal king realm. Where did he get his courage from? Although they were on the same level, he had just broken through to the mid-stage. How could he be compared to those experts who have been in the same realm for so many years? Boom! The law energy from Qin Wentian gushed forth as a terrifying Xuanwu tortoise appeared, exuding an overwhelming demonic qi. Runic light flashed, enveloping his body. That fearsome sun law energy gushed forth, corroding his defenses, wanting to melt the Xuanwu tortoise's defenses. Qin Wentian activated the power of God's hand. Boundless runes manifested on his body as beams of light shot up into the sky, merging into the Xuanwu tortoise's defenses. In an instant, the Xuanwu tortoise's body became indestructible. The sun flames couldn't continue corroding it and were all blocked outside. Even for peak-stage mid-stage immortal kings, it was basically impossible for them to destroy Qin Wentian with just their law domains. Is this your true strength? Seems like your improvement in the demon god mountain isn't small. That expert from the Sacred Sun sect coldly laughed, but he was still filled with confidence. His cultivation base was far higher compared to Qin Wentian. Die! With a clench of his fist, countless scarlet sun swords shot out from his sun law domain, penetrating through everything. Sizzling sounds rang out as the swords tore apart the Xuanwu's defense. At the same time, he stepped out and lifted his hand as a resplendent sun sword appeared in his hand. Every beam of light from the sword was blinding to the eyes as he directly slashed down towards Qin Wentian. Puchi. A sword slashed down, breaking apart space and penetrating through the Xuanwu divine turtle, directly slicing it apart in a tyrannical manner, wanting to sever Qin Wentian's life into two. What a powerful sword! This sword is a divine weapon that was created using a secret art of the Sacred Sun sect, using the power of the sun as a sacrificial offering. It is perfectly compatible with their abilities and in addition, the grade of this sword is equivalent to his cultivation base. This can't be considered borrowing strength. Everyone faintly felt that there was no way for Qin Wentian to block this sword. But at this moment, the humming of a sword rang out as the demon sword slashed out. There seemed to be the roar of a dragon, the cry of a phoenix, or the cry of a great rock. When the sun sword light slashed down, Qin Wentian actually stabbed out with it. This sword strike was incomparably tyrannical, filled with terrifying demonic chi and towering devil might, capable of suppressing everything. Even the heavens and earth trembled as the sun sword light was forcefully shattered. Boom! A third eye appeared in the center of Qin Wentian's brows. In an instant, a terrifying destructive light manifested, transforming into a vortex of destruction that directly distorted space, engulfing the expert from the sacred sun sect within. His opponent's expression froze, he continued slashing out with his sun sword, breaking apart the vortex. At the same time, Qin Wentian continued advancing forward, causing the space around him to tremble as an incomparably heavy pressure bore down on this space. With every step he took, that pressure grew stronger and stronger. Kill! Qin Wentian roared. In an instant, within the incomparably heavy law domain, a gigantic divine elephant could be seen soaring through the air, suppressing this space. At the same time, countless devil swords of destruction rained down from the sky, aiming for the expert from the sacred sun sect. What a powerful law domain! The hearts of everyone trembled. Such a powerful law domain actually managed to trap the expert from the sacred sun sect within. That expert's body erupted with even more intense sunlight, but at this moment, Qin Wentian was like a great rock soaring through the air, stabbing out with his sword. Upon seeing that sword strike, the expert from the sacred sun sect only felt an illusion appearing in his mind. The world seemed to be changing, like he was in a dream. However, he knew very clearly that he was currently fighting. With a loud roar, he broke free from the dreamscape. The sword had already arrived, the destructive might gushing forth frenziedly. He instinctively slashed out with his sword, clashing against Qin Wentian's killing sword. Bang! Qin Wentian's sword was like a dragon. Dragon roars shook the sky as devil might gushed forth. The expert from the sacred sun sect roared as sun flames gushed forth from his mouth. Devil might gushed forth from Qin Wentian's body, protecting him. Boundless law energy circulated around him, exuding an incomparably demonic aura. His evil eye flickered, causing the expert from the sacred sun sect to scream in agony as his body contorted bit by bit. The body of the expert from the sacred sun sect burned with even more intense flames, as though he was putting up a final struggle before death. Trash! A cold mocking voice rang out. As the sound of that voice faded, the evil eye grew even more terrifying. Slaughter's sword chi turned into tiny specks of light, frenziedly piercing through the other party's body, tearing it apart bit by bit, killing it completely. Boom! A thunderous sound rang out. The sun flames transformed into boundless flames that rained down from the sky. Everyone inclined their heads and stared at Qin Wentian, who was in the air, feeling extremely shocked in their hearts. Qin Wentian had just entered the mid-stage of the Immortal King realm. How could his attacks be so powerful to such an extent? Even the power of his law domain was extremely terrifying. The Immortal Emperor from the Sacred Sun sect stared at the sky, his killing intent terrifying. Defeated. A peak-stage mid-stage Immortal King expert from the Sacred Sun sect was not only defeated, he even died, killed by Qin Wentian on the spot. This was simply smacking the face of the Sacred Sun sect. Is this also considered using a sinister method to kill an expert from your Sacred Sun sect? Qin Wentian stared at him as he impolitely spoke, "Who is it exactly? How arrogant. Even if you are an immortal emperor, you are still so short-sighted, thinking that you are invincible. How ridiculous. You." The sun flames from that immortal emperor soared upwards. However, a calm voice rang out, "Are you still not ashamed of yourself? Southern Phoenix Matriarch." The immortal emperor from the Sacred Sun sect stared at the person who spoke. It was none other than the Southern Phoenix Matriarch of the Namhuang clan. Qin Wentian has already said it. If you all want to fight on the same level, I will accompany you all. You all can send out any experts you want. If your strength is weaker than my opponent and they are killed, it's fine even if you all disregard your face and act to take revenge. However, I will accompany you all. The calm voice of the Southern Phoenix matriarch was like a bolt of thunder, blasting into the ears of those who wanted to kill Qin Wentian. The voice of the Southern Phoenix matriarch should be able to represent the attitude of the entire Namhuang clan, right? You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.